Chapter 2297. With the Thousand Realms defense, space-time realm, and void steps, Night Sorrow's original body's speed reached the extreme. Xian Cheng, the prostitute, and Black Armor King couldn't catch up at all. At the entrance of the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow's clone hid while his original body ran back to the celestial realm. Everyone, retreat to the formation and prepare for battle. I made them angry, Night Sorrow shouted after returning to the celestial realm. Hearing Night Sorrow's shout, King Yawu and the others quickly retreated to the peerless great formation and prepared for battle with their weapons in hand. However, Xian Cheng, the prostitute, and Black Armor King chased to the entrance of the spatial tunnel and didn't enter because they weren't confident. Damn it, let's go back and check the situation of the camp before attacking, Black Armor King roared angrily because he felt that he had been played for a fool. Night Sorrow's clone, who was hiding under the entrance of the spatial tunnel, sneered. He didn't expect Black Armor King and the others to be able to remain calm at this time. However, when he saw the ancient cultivators on the ground in the camp of the ancient cultivators, he knew that his plan had succeeded. He had disrupted the ancient cultivators' formation. Those fellows chased me all the way to the entrance of the spatial passageway before retreating. I don't think their attack will be that fast. I need to rest a bit. Night Sorrow's true body led the group to the core area of the array formation before brewing a pot of tea. Young City Lord, what did you do to make them angry? Lin Yuanjun looked at Night Sorrow with some confusion. I rushed to their camp and threw a few bottles of poisonous smoke. They tried to stop me and chase me, but they couldn't stop me or catch up. So they got angry and chased me to the entrance of the spatial tunnel but didn't enter, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You brat, that was too risky. Elder Duan glared at Night Sorrow. Haha. It's okay. I'll use my clone to restrain them while my original body rushed in. They were caught off guard. This time, they suffered more losses. Night Sorrow said with a smile. He was in a good mood. One charge had disrupted the deployment and plan of the ancient cultivators. The Black Armor King had said that they would attack after observing the situation. However, these words were just empty words. They still had to deal with the aftermath when they returned. Because the original campsite was filled with poisonous smoke, Xian Cheng and Black Armor King brought their men to a new campsite. After a quick count, the Black Armor King realized that he had lost close to a third of his men. He was so angry that he roared towards the sky. Then, he shouted for the city to attack. Let's stabilize ourselves first. He might be trying to anger us. We don't know what kind of tricks he has up his sleeves. We have to stabilize ourselves and break the formation first. Then, we can break into their world in one fell swoop, Xian Cheng said. The Black Armor King threw a punch to the side. He was extremely angry now. Night Sorrow smiled. He knew that Xian Cheng, Black Armor King, and the others didn't have the courage to attack directly. Detecting that the coalition army of the ancient cultivators did not move, Night Sorrow smiled. This is a net profit. They didn't attack. Very good. However, you can't do this in the future. If there's anything, you can discuss it with everyone. We can also help you restrain them. It's too risky for you to act alone. King Yawu looked at Night Sorrow and said. He was really afraid that something would happen to Night Sorrow. This was because the ancient cultivator coalition army had 5 soul-uniting realm cultivators. If they really surrounded and killed him, it would be dangerous. Disciple understands. I won't let Martial Uncle worry anymore, Night Sorrow said with a smile. It was another victory. Everyone was very happy. Although the strength of the 100 races in the celestial realm couldn't be compared to the ancient cultivators, the scales of victory would tilt towards them as they accumulated strength step by step. After drinking some wine, Night Sorrow's original body and Lin Piaomiao left the unparalleled great array. They arrived at the encampment of the god-slaying team and called for their wives to take a stroll nearby. I'll have to trouble everyone for now. When everything is stable, we'll return to the 9 domains world to live a peaceful life. Looking at his wives, Night Sorrow's eyes were filled with apology. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Sikong Chuyu, and the rest shook their heads. They all knew that Night Sorrow had suffered a lot. Is everything okay at home? Night Sorrow asked. At this moment, Yang Lei, Aoi, Sikong Chuyu, and Datura, who were following the god-slaying team, were all clones. Their original bodies were cultivating in the city in the sky. Lin Piaomiao's original body was in the sky desolate city presiding over the elders' meeting. She usually lived in the 9 domains world and didn't come out often. She didn't like bustling places and preferred a peaceful life in the city in the sky. Very good. You can rest assured. Sikong Chuyu nodded. That's good. If you're tired, go back. There's not much point in staying here. Night Sorrow looked at his wives and said. Night Sorrow had asked the First Army and the god-slaying team to leave and set up camp in the ethereal Imperial City. However, the two teams were eager to fight and returned. They were still camping outside the unparalleled Great Formation. Night Sorrow didn't chase them away. With the teleportation portal, even if the unparalleled Great Formation was broken, they would have time to retreat. After spending half a day with his wives, Night Sorrow accompanied Lin Piaomiao to go through the tribulation of the 4 kings. Only then did he return to the unparalleled Great Formation. What the hell is going on? Good. Not bad. You really love your family. Seeing Night Sorrow return, Huang Ling smiled and said. My clone is guarding the entrance of the space tunnel. Even if I'm with my family, I don't dare to forget my business. Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's not what I meant. I think you've done well. A man needs to be domineering and gentle. Young City Lord, you've done well. Huang Ling said. While everyone was chatting, Night Sorrow suddenly stood up. Everyone, prepare for battle. The other party is going all out this time. What's the situation? King Yawu asked. The other party has 5 godly soul-uniting realm cultivators, the tribulation of the 9 kings, and the array master. They're all approaching the space tunnel. After they enter, Martial Uncle, Heavenly Concubine, Grand Elder, will go all out. We must kill Go-Nan. Although the chances of Go-Nan breaking the formation aren't high, we must kill him first to make sure nothing goes wrong. Night Sorrow set the first target. Okay. King Yawu and the others nodded. Night Sorrow's clone had returned. However, it was still in the space tunnel. Night Sorrow's main body had also brought the others into the space tunnel. He wouldn't let go of an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. He wasn't the only one who'd done this before. Xian Cheng and Xiao Shi had done it before. Night Sorrow used the Thousand Realms defense body to protect everyone. They stayed at the side of the space tunnel. 5 Sumeru Space World Lines. Night Sorrow, your Thousand Realms defense body has reached a certain level. Heavenly Concubine noticed Night Sorrow's Thousand Realms defense body. She knew how difficult it was to cultivate this absolute art. In the history of the Devil Wing clan, only one person had successfully cultivated it. That was the result of many years of research. Night Sorrow's cultivation time couldn't be compared to that person. Chapter 2298. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Xian Sheng, Black Armor King, and the prostitute led their people out of the spatial tunnel and arrived at an empty area near the spatial tunnel. They moved forward in a fan-shaped formation. Go-Nan, who had a lower cultivation level, was in the middle, protected. Go-Nan, we will protect you. Take a look at this array formation, Black Armor King said to Go-Nan. Let's wait for a while before killing them. They are most alert now. Night Sorrow, who had observed the situation, said to King Yawu and the others. Night Sorrow only brought King Yawu, the Heavenly Concubine, and the Grand Elder for a sneak attack. Night Sorrow did not dare to bring the others. The other party was too strong. If they were not strong enough, it would not be a sneak attack. It would be suicide. Go-Nan's position is under their protection. It's not easy to attack him, King Yawu whispered. I'll poison him first. When everyone attacks, make sure your precept domains vibrate. Don't let the poisonous smoke touch your energy and body. We must take Go-Nan away in one wave of attacks. Then, we'll see if we can take care of a few other high-level cultivators. If we have the chance, we have to earn a little and grind their strength bit by bit, Night Sorrow said. While being protected, Go-Nan took out a disc array and began to study it. Night Sorrow's clone took out 2 bottles of smoke and nodded to King Yo-woo and the heavenly concubine. He was going to release the poison. He was not worried about the poisonous smoke entering the Peerless Great Array because he had set up a sealing array formation to prevent the energy from entering the Peerless Great Array. As the Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear moved, Night Sorrow's clone threw out the 2 bottles of smoke. Watch out! Poisonous smoke! Seeing the bottles of smoke, Xianqing shouted and slashed with his saber. The others also attacked because they had seen the power of the poisonous smoke. It was terrifying. Primordial destruction slash. Night Sorrow's main body attacked. The Thousand Realms defense protected his body and the Samsara halberd attacked Go-Nan. You are courting death. Black Armor King scolded and flashed in front of Go-Nan. Can you block it? Night Sorrow channeled the energy of his Merit Dao body into the heavenly halberd of Samsara and slashed at the Black Armor King's weapon. At this moment, he could not dodge the attack. Speed was what was needed in a sneak attack. If he delayed, he would lose the opportunity. As Night Sorrow and Black Armor King's weapons clashed, Black Armor King was sent flying. His eyes were filled with shock because Night Sorrow's strength was too strong for him to withstand. Gap. The Black Armor King's soul as one realm was higher than Night Sorrow's, but his body's strength couldn't be compared to Night Sorrow's, and the difference was huge. As for the difference in Jinqi, Night Sorrow's primordial attribute had already closed the gap to the tiniest, so he couldn't withstand a single attack from the Black Armor King. Slash. Night Sorrow's body shifted slightly as his Samsara halberd slashed towards Go-Nan. At this moment, after his doppelganger had repelled the prostitute, the Blood Qilin evil-slaying spear also slashed towards Xianqing. Go-Nan retreated, but at this moment, the heavenly concubine's attack arrived. The Compassion Sword Qi shot towards Go-Nan. Go-Nan, with his tribulation of 7 Emperors cultivation, had nowhere to retreat, so he could only wave his sword to block. The heavenly concubine's sword Qi sent his body flying unstably. Void Step. Night Sorrow's original body used Void Step. With a flash, he appeared in front of Go-Nan again. The Samsara halberd's attack didn't change. Go-Nan, who raised his battle blade to block again, couldn't resist at all. He was sent flying into the array by Night Sorrow's attack. After sending Go-Nan into the array, Night Sorrow turned around and attacked one of the tribulation of 9 Emperors cultivators. As for Go-Nan, Night Sorrow knew that once he was sent into the array, he would be suppressed and killed. There was no chance for him to survive. That was the truth. Go-Nan's tribulation of 7 Emperors cultivation was higher than the Blood Qilin King, the Golden Dragon King, and the others, but he was already heavily injured. Furthermore, he was bombarded by the array to the point where he didn't even know his direction. Shenlin, save Go-Nan. Black Armor King, who was chasing after Night Sorrow, shouted to one of his Divine Soul Unity Realm subordinates. He knew how dangerous the array was, so he didn't dare to enter. However, because of Go-Nan's importance, he couldn't give up, so he shouted to his subordinate. The Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivator in the Dark Realm castle called Shenlin was stunned. His eyes were filled with anger. He was a Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivator. Normally, he respected Black Armor King, but he was naturally unwilling to die for Black Armor King. While Shenlin was stunned, King Yowu's long spear was attacking him. He was also planning to send him into the array. At this moment, the heavenly concubine, who had already killed a tribulation of 9 Emperors cultivator, flapped her Holy Spirit wings and came to help. If they could send a Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivator into the unparalleled array, then slowly surround and kill him, it would be a great victory. Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger waved their weapons, constantly repelling Black Armor King and Xianqing. At the same time, they attacked the brothel to buy time for King Yowu and the heavenly concubine. The Grand Elder retreated. Because he wasn't strong enough, he couldn't suppress others. Instead, he was besieged by others. The battle was very intense. Night Sorrow attacked from behind King Yowu and the heavenly concubine. He waved his 2 long spears, repelling the ancient cultivators who attacked him. As for the energy slashes and sword chi of the tribulation of 9 emperors' cultivators, Night Sorrow directly ignored them. With his merit taboo primordial Dao domain, his Thousand Realms defense could completely ignore these energy attacks. Shenlin, who was besieged, was emotionally unstable because of Black Armor King's words. He was constantly being attacked by King Yowu and the heavenly concubine. Seeing that he was about to enter the unparalleled array, Shenlin roared and blocked the heavenly concubine's long sword with his battle saber. Go in. The heavenly concubine kicked Shenlin's chest in the air, kicking him into the unparalleled array. The demon-winged clan's cultivation talent was high. First, they had wings, and second, they had strong bodies. Shenlin couldn't stand steadily after the heavenly concubine's kick. Seeing that the Grand Elder had retreated to the center of the array to control Shenlin, King Yowu and the heavenly concubine turned around to help Night Sorrow fight. The 3 of them formed the 4 symbols combined formation and targeted the cultivators of the tribulation of 9 emperors. The battle was very intense. The main reason was that Night Sorrow's strength couldn't be suppressed. Whoever dared to take it head-on would only end up being repelled or sent flying. After sending 2 cultivators of the tribulation of 9 emperors into the array, Night Sorrow decided to retreat. He was fine, but King Yowu and the heavenly concubine were injured. Although it wasn't serious, Night Sorrow didn't want this kind of accumulation of injuries to continue. Before Night Sorrow shouted for them to retreat, Black Armor King shouted for them to retreat. He was afraid that Night Sorrow and the other 2 would continue to deal with the cultivators of the tribulation of 9 emperors. In addition, the poisonous smoke was also fatal. 2 of his subordinates had already been infected by the smoke and died. Black Armor King, Xiancheng, and the prostitute retreated. Night Sorrow and the other 2 couldn't stop them, so they didn't chase after them. Chapter 2299. Under the attacks of Night Sorrow's 2 bodies and the soul destruction slash, Shenlin could only hold on for a while before he was killed by Night Sorrow. His soul was destroyed. At this time, Heavenly Concubine and King Yowu also finished killing. The group gathered at the core of the formation. L4K on New M, I, Chapter Most M, Martial Uncle, Heavenly Concubine, are you guys alright? Night Sorrow saw that the 2 of them had been attacked by energy. Martial Uncle, it's just a small problem. Once we enter the spatial treasure, we will recover in 7 or 8 days. The battle will affect us, but it won't affect us much, King Yowu said. My situation is the same. Some injuries are unavoidable in battle. I just need some time to deal with it. Heavenly Concubine nodded at Night Sorrow. Young City Lord, it seems like you're the only one fine. Huang Ling looked at Night Sorrow and said. I'm the only one fine. This is a great victory. Let's see how they play. Night Sorrow said with a smile. He was in a good mood. Young City Lord's defense and power are too terrifying. Other than being weaker than his opponent in terms of true chi, he has the complete advantage in all other aspects, the Golden Dragon King said. Martial Uncle, Heavenly Concubine, you guys enter the spatial treasure to recover. I'll go to the spatial tunnel to take a look. If anything happens, I'll shake your spatial treasure, Night Sorrow said to King Yowu and Heavenly Concubine. It's not that troublesome. We'll enter your spatial treasure. Just shake your soul and we'll be ready to fight at any time, Heavenly Concubine said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow thought about it and didn't refuse. He took out the clear sky pagoda and placed it in the living area of the Peerless Great Formation. King Yowu and Heavenly Concubine nodded at Night Sorrow and directly entered. They had to make the best use of their time. It was important to maintain their peak condition. Night Sorrow, be careful. They could sneak attack you last time. They can do it again this time. The Grand Elder said worriedly. He looked at Knight Sorrow's eyes with worry and admiration because Knight Sorrow's combat power had surpassed his by a lot. Knight Sorrow could fight with Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators and even had the upper hand. However, he was suppressed by Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators. It was completely different. True. I'll be careful. Also, I need to deal with the poisonous smoke at the spatial passageway. Knight Sorrow planned to banish the smoke at the spatial passageway into chaotic space. Because of the Peerless Grand Array and the control of the Sealing Array, the smoke released by Knight Sorrow had yet to spread, and it couldn't spread. Can't we just leave it be? If they come in, it will still harm them. The Heavenly Astral King asked. Yeah. Let's just leave it as it is. If we don't go over, whoever comes in will be unlucky. Knight Sorrow smiled. He really didn't think in this direction. Then when you go over, won't you be in danger too? Lin Piaomiao asked. I'm proficient in ripple force. With my Dao domain, the poisonous smoke can't hurt me. Knight Sorrow nodded at Lin Piaomiao. His wife's concern warmed his heart. At this moment, there was a sudden change in the world. Auspicious clouds appeared in the sky as golden lotuses spun and descended. The ground shone with a golden radiance, resonating with the golden lotuses in the sky. It's here. It's finally here. Knight Sorrow looked up at the sky and understood. After repelling the invasion of the Ancient Cultivator Alliance and killing a Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivator in the Celestial Realm, Knight Sorrow's merit cultivation finally broke through the bottleneck that he had been stuck at for a long time and entered the Merit Emperor level. The sound of nature was melodious as the golden lotuses floated. Guided by the auspicious clouds, Knight Sorrow's body floated up into the sky and received the baptism of the golden lotuses and auspicious clouds. Merit Emperor, you can call him the Merit Emperor now. Our celestial realm's 100 races have been passed down for 1,000 reincarnations. Finally, someone has become the Merit Emperor. The Grand Elder looked up at Knight Sorrow with tears in his eyes because his heart was at ease. No matter how difficult it was now, the celestial realm would be stable in the future. Even if it fell, they could fight back in the future. He didn't have much lifespan left. Seeing hope comforted him. Knight Sorrow's Dharma robe changed. The Dharma robe that was originally flowing with Tao aura turned golden. Human Tao scriptures were truly flowing on it. Not only did the people of the Celestial Realm and the Peerless Great Array see this scene, but the members of the First Army and the God-slaying team also saw this scene. Everywhere in the Celestial Realm, the scene of the ancient world's passageway appeared. Tran Hung, who was far away in the heavenly desolate city, also saw this scene. His eyes were filled with gratification. He knew what this meant. When the crisis of the ancient cultivators was resolved, they could try to attack the Demon Imperial City. The Demon Imperial City's defense might not be able to withstand the fire of merit at the level of a great emperor. Xiaoluo, that's your father. What's going on? Lu Yu, who was in the divine capital, looked at Yi Xiaoluo after seeing the image in the sky. Originally, Yi Xiaoluo's group was at the ancient world spatial passageway, but they were chased away by Datura. She was worried about the safety of this group of juniors. It's my father. It's a natural phenomenon. It should be caused by some breakthrough, Yi Xiaoluo said. The Merit Emperor. The unprecedented Merit Emperor has appeared. Xiaoluo, your father has become the Merit Emperor. Lu Qi bowed to the golden figure in the sky. Yi Xiaoluo and the others did the same. The celestial realm will soon overcome the darkness before dawn and welcome the dawn. Lu Qi's voice was trembling because of the excitement in his heart. I want to see my father. Yi Xiaoluo said and walked toward the teleportation array. The Nine Zones world was like the celestial realm. They had natural phenomena. Knight Sorrow was the origin realm master of the Nine Zones world. His ascension was the Nine Zones world's ascension. This situation lasted for 6 hours before it dissipated. Knight Sorrow also returned to the surface. Everything was normal. The only difference was that the golden words on Knight Sorrow's robe were still flowing. Greetings, great emperor. The Grand Elder took the lead and bowed together with the clan leaders of the mythological beast clan. The Merit Emperor had a noble status and was revered by billions of holy spirits. This was the rule of the heavens. Sect Elder Duan, don't be like this. Knight Sorrow reached out and helped everyone up. This matter must be reported to the Celestial Realm's 100 tribes. It must be reported to all parts of the Celestial Realm. This is a milestone in the development of the Celestial Realm's 100 tribes, the Golden Dragon King said. There's no need to mobilize so many people. I didn't expect that I would improve while resolving the crisis. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. At this moment, he felt the changes in his body. His Merit Dao body was strengthened again. Every bit of flesh in his body had a golden glow. The divine infant's head was full of golden light rippling. An immortal body. His current body was an immortal body. Indeed, there's no need to report. Auspicious signs have descended everywhere in the celestial realm. Everyone knows about it, the Grand Elder said. I'll be in seclusion for a few days. However, my clone will guard the spatial passage. Knight Sorrow finished speaking and entered the clear sky pagoda. Chapter 2300. The cultivators of the 100 races of the celestial realm were very happy because they were sure that the predicament was only temporary. Hope was right in front of them. The birth of the Merit Emperor meant that the future was bright. Knight Sorrow familiarized himself with his situation in the clear sky pagoda. His Merit Dao body's power increased again. The energy circulating in his body had a golden glow. %A equals 1, V hair 2F, powerful. Knight Sorrow thought he was powerful. If his cultivation wasn't at the 8th Emperor Tribulation, the energy wouldn't be able to hurt him. This was the power of the Merit Emperor. One had to know that with the defense of the Thousand Realms defense body, Knight Sorrow's Divine Soul Unison Realm attacks wouldn't reach this level. In other words, Divine Soul Unison Realm cultivators wouldn't be able to hurt him as long as he didn't consume too much energy. Knight Sorrow was very satisfied with his situation. Of course, he knew that he still had to work hard. He had the defensive power, but the offensive power had to be strengthened. Divine Soul Unison Realm cultivators couldn't hurt him now. The shield was strong enough, but the spear still needed to be cultivated. After stabilizing time in the real world for half a month, Knight Sorrow came out of seclusion. King Yawu and the others congratulated Knight Sorrow. You don't need to be the young city lord of the Tianhuang city and the divine capital city anymore. The Merit Emperor is worthy of being the leader of the 100 races of the celestial realm and the commander of the 100 races alliance army, King Yawu said. He knew that Knight Sorrow didn't need the identity of the young city lord of the celestial realm anymore. It wasn't suitable for him at the moment. In the past, Tran Hung and King Yawu arranged the identity of the young city lord for Knight Sorrow because they hoped that Knight Sorrow would have the prestige to command troops. Now that this identity wasn't suitable, it would reduce the prestige of the Merit Emperor. The Merit Emperor didn't need any identity to confirm his position. Martial uncle, you're exaggerating. Knight Sorrow is still Knight Sorrow, Knight Sorrow said. Not at all. You are the human emperor with the highest achievement in the history of merit and virtue. You deserve the title of Merit and Virtue Great Emperor. You can command all corners of the celestial realm, Elder Duan said with a smile. The advancement of Knight Sorrow's power of virtue was a joyous occasion. The group celebrated in the living area at the core of the formation. After drinking a bowl of wine, King Yawu looked at Knight Sorrow and asked, Knight Sorrow, how does the promotion of the power of merit affect my combat strength? The most important aspect is that the defensive power of my body and the suppressive power of my Dao domain have undergone a qualitative improvement. Knight Sorrow said. He didn't hide anything from King Yawu and the seniors present. There was no need to hide anything from them. What's the situation like when you fight against an ancient cultivator of the Divine Soul Unity realm? King Yawu asked. Of course, it's a different story if we're surrounded, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. King Yawu took another big gulp of wine. He was very happy. Night Sorrow's combat strength had increased. The most important thing was that Night Sorrow had a clone, which was equivalent to 2 cultivators of the Divine Soul Unity realm. The key was that Night Sorrow still had room for improvement. If he improved further, he would have the strength to easily kill a cultivator of the Divine Soul Unity realm. After celebrating, Night Sorrow stood outside the campsite. The heavenly concubine and Lin Piaomiao stood behind him. "Why don't you drink more?" the heavenly concubine asked. "Too much pressure. The more power you have, the more pressure you have. When you're strong, you have to face some things. You have to face ancient cultivators and the Demon Wing clan that I don't want to improve in front of you," Night Sorrow said. "There's nothing that can't be mentioned. I've given up on the past. As for why I don't want to fight the Demon Wing clan, it's because of some old feelings in my heart," the heavenly concubine said. "It's been hard on you. In the past, I didn't care about your feelings. But now that we're friends, I'll do my best for my friends." Night Sorrow turned to look at the heavenly concubine and nodded. "Thank you. When we're done with the ancient cultivators, we'll consider the matter of the Demon Wing clan. In addition, you should continue to improve your strength. When you improve your strength, it will completely surpass the strength of other cultivators of the Divine Soul Unity realm. In this state, every bit of strength is precious," the heavenly concubine said. "Night Sorrow, protector heavenly concubine is right. You can't rush into battle. You're still in the process of improving your strength. If you can improve, then do it. You have to fight in your strongest state, that's the most sensible thing to do," Lin Piaomiao said. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood this logic. For the time being, he didn't have any plans to fight. It was fine as long as he could stabilize the situation. In addition, he knew that Xian Sheng and Black Armor King wouldn't attack for the time being. It should be said that they couldn't afford to attack. In the camp of the Ancient World Alliance army, Xian Sheng and Black Armor King were sitting opposite each other. Both of them were at their wits' end. Looking at the huge fat meat in front of them, they just couldn't eat it. They couldn't restrain the wolf smoke. In addition, they couldn't break through the defensive array of the celestial realm. Only Go Nan, who was proficient in arrays, had died in battle. "Realm Lord Xian Sheng, you and I are clear about the current situation. Both of us can't win. It's impossible for both of us to eat this meat. Why don't we join forces with a few more forces?" Black Armor King looked at Xian Sheng and asked. "Although I don't wish for too many forces to participate, we can't not join forces with other forces." "I agree with the castle lord's opinion." Xian Sheng nodded. "When we're done, I'll slaughter those damned people." Black Armor King was furious because his subordinate, Shen Lin, had died in battle. He was the backbone of the Dark Realm ancient castle. Subsequently, Xian Sheng and Black Armor King sent people to contact other forces. They must conquer the celestial realm because it was related to resources and their future. Night Sorrow's clone went out to investigate once. When he found that the Ancient Cultivator Alliance army wasn't moving, he didn't bother. It was good that everyone was at peace. He needed time to cultivate. Mo Yuqing's main body found Mo Zhantian and reported the news she received. Merit Emperor, Merit Emperor. Could it be that our era is destined to be a dormant era? Mo Zhantian felt very powerless. He more or less understood the Merit Emperor's situation. He was also someone who had grasped the power of faith. Right now, the 100 races of the celestial realm are fighting fervently. However, the battle with the ancient cultivators hasn't started yet. In other words, the situation hasn't started yet because the spatial tunnel is still sealed. Mo Yuqing said the second situation. "I've heard about the ancient world group. It's not so easy to solve. Those are cultivators with long inheritances. They don't have any resources. Therefore, when they know about the existence of the supreme world and the world domain, they will be like wolves that have seen their prey. They won't give up easily. However, if the Merit Emperor is in the celestial realm, it'll be hard for the ancient cultivators to conquer it, let alone the future supreme world. Mo Gentian wasn't optimistic about the ancient cultivators. Lord Divine Ancestor, the Devil Ancestor's palace emitted a strong energy fluctuation. At this moment, Mo Lu appeared at Mo Gentian's cultivation area. Chapter 2301. When Mo Gentian arrived at the Demon Ancestor's palace, he immediately rushed inside but was stopped by the energy waves. Mo Gentian's expression changed. He bit his finger and activated his bloodline power before entering the palace. Inside the palace, the Demon Ancestor's huge body was lying there. There was a halo of energy around his body. The halo was fluctuating constantly. Most importantly, his chest was moving up and down. Awakening. Mo Gentian knelt on the ground. His heart was filled with shock and excitement because the Demon Ancestor was breathing. This was a sign of awakening. After confirming again, Mo Gentian kowtowed. He was originally in despair, but now his heart was filled with hope. Mo Gentian was originally full of confidence, thinking that he could defeat the 100 races of the celestial realm. However, after being severely injured, he lost his confidence because he was no match for Tran Hung and King Yawu. In addition, the appearance of the Merit Emperor of the Celestial Realm was a huge blow to his confidence. Now that the Demon Ancestor was showing signs of awakening, Mo Gentian saw hope again. The Demon Ancestor was the strongest expert in the history of the Demon-Winged clan who was the closest to passing the God-destroying tribulation. He was already a half-step Divine Emperor. After awakening and recovering, he would immediately have unparalleled combat power. He would be the strongest expert under the God-destroying tribulation. From today onwards, no one is allowed to approach the Demon Ancestor's palace. Anyone who approaches will be killed without mercy. Mo Gentian ordered. He even decided to guard the palace himself until the Demon Ancestor woke up. Night Sorrow began to cultivate again. He seized the opportunity to improve his strength. He had enough resources to cultivate his body. In addition to the resources from Tianhuang City and Shendu City, Night Sorrow had obtained a lot from the battle. Last time, when the ancient cultivators had attacked, Yi Shang had killed Shenlin. Shenlin was a demonic beast that had cultivated successfully. The essence blood in his body was a cultivation resource for Yi Shang. There was also a cultivator of the tribulation of the 9 emperors, who was also a demonic beast. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation King Yawu and the others were relieved because there was hope. They knew that the predicament was only temporary. As long as Night Sorrow was given more time, he would be able to sweep the battlefield. Night Sorrow's clone had been monitoring the movements of the ancient cultivator allied army at the entrance of the spatial passageway, while his original body had been cultivating inside the Clear Heaven Pagoda. Time slowly slipped away. The troops of the allied army of ancient cultivators gathered again, and the number of troops was increasing. Xian Sheng and Black Armor King didn't suppress the spread of the news. The ancient cultivators who had left the Fire King city also spread the news. Some ancient cultivator factions also gathered. Because Xian Sheng and the Black Armor King had a tacit understanding, the two of them were the commanders of the allied army. It was also because their subordinates were the strongest, and they were the first to arrive. Xian Sheng and Black Armor King also had a common understanding. If they didn't work together, they wouldn't be able to suppress the others. Only by working together could they control the situation. Night Sorrow could see the movements of the ancient cultivators, but he did not care. No matter how many ancient cultivators there were, it was useless if they could not break in. In addition, he also had a plan. As soon as the allied army of ancient cultivators showed signs of attacking, he would take action and throw a few more bottles of poisonous smoke to throw the allied army into chaos. In addition, Night Sorrow felt that even if the ancient cultivators attacked, they wouldn't be a threat. This was because the surroundings of the spatial passageway were filled with poisonous smoke. In addition, the power of the unparalleled Great Array had been tested. It could withstand the wind and rain, and it could withstand attacks. This was Night Sorrow's confidence. The confidence that allowed him to cultivate steadily without worry. Night Sorrow didn't do anything, but the troops of the celestial realm were calm. It could be said that the troops of the celestial realm were all under the influence of Night Sorrow. When Night Sorrow was relaxed, the others were relaxed. When Night Sorrow was nervous, the others would prepare for war. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. The ancient cultivators had gathered a terrifying number of troops. Their combat strength was several times stronger than that of the celestial realm. There were 10 Soul Unity Realm cultivators. However, because they didn't have the ability to deal with the poisonous smoke and break the array, they didn't attack. 20 years had passed in the real world. Night Sorrow came out of seclusion in the Clear Sky Pagoda after 100 years. His physical cultivation had reached the late stage of the 8th Emperor Tribulation. His Chi realm was also close to the 8th Emperor Tribulation. However, he had consumed a lot of resources. He came out of seclusion because he had run out of resources. After cultivating for 100 years, Night Sorrow had used up the blood essence of high-level demonic beasts that he had collected. The spirit stones below the monarch's spirit stone were also used up because he had used all his strength to break through to the Chi realm. This was a huge consumption. This situation also let Night Sorrow know where the ancient cultivator's determination to attack the celestial realm came from. Without resources, it was too difficult to achieve anything. Sister Xian, do me a favor. After drinking tea with everyone, Night Sorrow said to Lin Piaomiao. What is it? Lin Piaomiao was puzzled. She didn't know what Night Sorrow wanted to do. I have run out of resources. Sister Xian, go to the 9-domain world's heaven-sealing palace to get resources from my 9-domain clone. Night Sorrow said to Lin Piaomiao. Phew. I thought it was something big. Lin Piaomiao smiled. Our human emperor has a lot of resources. He's going back to his nest to get resources. Huang Ling smiled. Everyone was in a good mood after Night Sorrow came out of seclusion. A lot of resources. No, I have used up most of my resources. The ones in the 9-domain world are only a small portion of the resources I have. Night Sorrow shook his head. He was really poor now. It's that serious? King Yowu looked at Night Sorrow and frowned. It's because of the attributes. Because I was in a hurry, I completely relied on spirit stones. It's a waste. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow, you can't cultivate like this. It will cause your foundation to be unstable. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow with a worried expression. I know. I won't do this anymore. I want to break through to the 8 Emperor Tribulation and then adjust my cultivation base to the 8 Emperor Tribulation. It should be enough. The Ancient Cultivator Alliance is ready. I, Night Sorrow, am also ready. Let's see who is more prepared. Night Sorrow let out a breath. King Yowu and the others nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow was in a hurry. He was in a hurry to suppress and kill Divine Soul Unity Realm experts. In the following days, Night Sorrow didn't cultivate. He just relaxed. He planned to settle the Ancient Cultivator Alliance after he calmed down. After years of bitter cultivation, Night Sorrow was confident that he could kill his way out of the Ancient Cultivator Alliance. Not only had his body reached the late stage of the 8 Emperor Tribulation, but his true energy realm had reached the peak of the 7 Emperor Tribulation. His 1,000 Realms defense had also improved. Now, he had reached the 7 Realms defense. However, the 7th Realm defense was still in its embryonic form. After years of planning, Xian Sheng, Black Armor King, and the others came up with a plan. They worked together to break the formation. They didn't split up. They attacked the formation with brute force and destroyed it with brute force. When Xian Sheng and the others had black chains on their shoulders, Night Sorrow knew he had to make a move. The ancient cultivators were about to make a move. Chapter 2302. Night Sorrow planned to intimidate them. Previously, he had intimidated them with his methods. This time, he would intimidate them with his strength. On the celestial realm side, King Yowu and the heavenly concubine were a little worried. They had investigated some time ago and knew the strength of the ancient world's cultivators. Now that Night Sorrow wanted to attack, it was risky. King Yowu, let's go out and take a look. If necessary, we must provide support, the heavenly concubine said. King Yowu nodded. His precept domain vibrated. He entered the spatial tunnel with the heavenly concubine, who had used the same method to block the poisonous smoke. At this time, Night Sorrow, who was approaching the united army, raised his left arm and signaled to King Yowu and the heavenly concubine not to get too close. Xiancheng, Black Armor King, didn't you want to fight? I'm here. Night Sorrow waved his samsara halberd and shouted at the ancient cultivator united army. Your world relies on formations to hide like a turtle. You're only relying on your fast legs. Otherwise, you're trash. Xiancheng stood out. His eyes were about to spit fire because Xianhua had died under Yishang's scheme. The winner is king, and the loser is a thief. What's the point of saying this to me? Night Sorrow smiled. Then what are you doing here? Come out to embarrass yourself and then run back? Xiancheng's eyes were full of disdain. Haha. You're so arrogant. Let your subordinates draw a circle and fight to the death. If they run out of the circle, they will kill themselves. Otherwise, heaven and man will abandon them. Do you dare? Night Sorrow smiled. Do you dare to swear an oath? Xiancheng was stunned. He knew that Night Sorrow was stronger, but he was not afraid. He did not understand what Night Sorrow was doing, but he was afraid that Night Sorrow would run away. Therefore, he planned to use an oath to trap Night Sorrow. Yishang smiled. He was more than happy to be bound by an oath. Today, he was here to kill people and to intimidate them openly. He wanted to let the ancient cultivators know the strength of the heaven realm. In the future, they would have to think twice before attacking. As Xiancheng waved his hand, Qing Jia drew a circle with his weapon. In order to let Xiancheng take advantage of his high cultivation and limit Night Sorrow's speed and movement, Qing Jia drew a very small circle. Looking at the circle, Night Sorrow shook his head. Who was the limit? His defense was tyrannical, and the thing he was least afraid of was a head-on clash. He was good at battles with small movements. Regardless of life and death, you've been abandoned by both heaven and man. It's your turn. Xiancheng's body flashed and entered the circle. Night Sorrow swore the same oath and entered the circle. At this time, Heavenly Concubine and King Yowu, who were some distance away, took out their memory crystal balls at the same time. They knew Night Sorrow's goal. What followed was a classic battle of intimidation and slaughter. They wanted to record this classic. As soon as Night Sorrow entered the circle, Xiancheng's body flashed and slashed toward Night Sorrow's head. He wanted to kill Night Sorrow and establish his prestige in the alliance. He wanted to kill Night Sorrow and cut off the stumbling block on his way to invade the celestial realm. Therefore, he attacked fiercely and without holding back. Taking a step forward, Night Sorrow's samsara halberd pierced toward Xiancheng's chest. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't dodge, Xiancheng's eyes widened and he attacked with the greatest strength. He wasn't afraid of Night Sorrow's attack because he felt that his attack would hit Night Sorrow first and push Night Sorrow back. In that case, Night Sorrow's attack would collapse on its own. Buzz! A strong spatial vibration appeared. 7 Sumeru spatial lines appeared around Night Sorrow's body. These 7 Sumeru spatial lines instantly swallowed most of Xiancheng's blade aura. Only a small part of it hit Night Sorrow's body. It only made Night Sorrow's robe shake a little. At this time, Night Sorrow's samsara halberd landed squarely on Xiancheng's chest, directly annihilating a large transparent hole in Xiancheng's chest. Merit Taboo Primordial Dao Domain. At the crucial moment, Night Sorrow released his Dao Domain and pressed it towards Xiancheng. He didn't want Xiancheng to have a chance to retreat. Xiancheng, who had been severely injured by Night Sorrow, was shocked. He hurriedly tried to retreat, but Night Sorrow's merit taboo primordial Dao domain suppression tightened the space around him. He couldn't retreat. Destroy. Night Sorrow let out a low roar. The Samsara halberd slashed across Xiancheng's chest and destroyed everything from his neck to his head. At the same time, the Emperor-level fire of virtue enveloped Xiancheng's soul body and started burning it. With just one move, Night Sorrow destroyed Xiancheng's body and took control of his soul body. Night Sorrow didn't attack Xiancheng's soul body. Instead, he focused his attention on the other members of the Ancient Cultivator Alliance army. His Dao domain and fire of virtue were tyrannical. They suppressed Xiancheng's soul body in his Dao domain and burned it. Xiancheng's soul body couldn't escape. You want to kill me just like that? If you don't have the qualifications, who else can do it? Don't play tricks with me, and don't think of attacking me together. It's useless. Night Sorrow looked at the group of ancient cultivators and said slowly. Read novels for free for all eternity. The ancient cultivators didn't move. The 9 divine soul unification realm cultivators didn't move either. Night Sorrow's move was too frightening. Xiancheng was killed with just one move. Although he underestimated his opponent, it also showed how tyrannical Night Sorrow was. Is there anyone coming? If not, I'll go back. I'm here today to tell you that don't have any ideas about the celestial realm. From today onwards, I'll kill whoever enters the spatial passage. If you don't believe me, you can try. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, his body flew backward. As he flew backward, his body became illusory. When he reappeared, he was in front of the heavenly concubine and King Yawu. The fire of virtue in his Dao domain was still burning. Xiancheng's soul body couldn't escape. Domineering. King Yawu's eyes were filled with shock and joy. Night Sorrow's performance was too strong. Xiancheng, who was at the divine soul unification realm, had his body destroyed in one move. His soul body was controlled. This kind of combat strength had never appeared since ancient times. Go back and drink. Let them think. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he entered the spatial passage. He really wanted to give the ancient cultivators time. He hoped that they would retreat on their own. War was accompanied by slaughter. Night Sorrow felt that it was better to avoid it if possible. Night Sorrow and the other 2 left. Black Armor King, the brothel, and the others didn't say anything. They were indeed shocked. None of the 9 divine soul unification realm cultivators dared to say that they were stronger than Xiancheng. Now that Xiancheng was killed, they were also in danger. Black Armor King, what should we do? The brothel looked at Black Armor King. What should we do? Giving up means giving up our resources. Giving up the resources of a supreme world. If we fight alone, we won't be a match for this guy. Black Armor King's eyes turned red. Although he felt sad for the death of his kind, the most important thing was that he couldn't eat the meat. My lords, we don't have to fight him head-on. We can just charge together and break through their defense to enter their world. Then, we can rely on our own abilities to find opportunities. Those who are targeted by him can only blame their bad luck. Green Armor said. He was about to reach the divine soul unification realm, but he didn't have any resources. Chapter 2303. Without resources, progress would be slow, or even impossible. Many ancient cultivators were like Qingjia. They had the ability to reach the next level, but without the support of resources, they would risk their lives. As for the divine soul uniting realm ancient cultivators, they were the strongest below the deity-destroying tribulation. However, in order to pass the deity-destroying tribulation, they worked hard to cultivate absolute arts. Cultivating absolute arts required the support of resources, so attacking a new world with resources was in line with the interests of all ancient cultivators. Qingjia's idea is not bad. Black Armor King nodded. Just now, he was a little shaken, but then he gave up. He didn't have much lifespan left. If he didn't fight, he wasn't confident that he could pass the deity-destroying tribulation and still die. That's right. If there's a chance, we'll fight. After we go in, we'll plunder one round and then retreat. As for those who are caught and killed by him, they can only blame it on their own bad luck. The prostitute sighed. He saw with his own eyes how unlucky his two brothers, the Realm Lord Xian Hua and the Second Realm Lord Xian Cheng of the ancient Profound Ice Realm, fell in front of him. When passing through the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow's doppelganger hid again. His original body went through the spatial tunnel. After a few stabs with the Samsara halberd, Xian Cheng's soul was annihilated, leaving behind a spiritual nascent pearl. Haha. The predicament is finally over. Great. After returning to the core living area of the unparalleled Great Array, King Yawu roared and threw the memory crystal ball to Sect Elder Duan and the others. He was very happy. The heavenly concubine was a little distracted. She was also shocked. She knew Night Sorrow, but she didn't expect that Night Sorrow's combat power was at the level where he could kill a divine soul-uniting realm cultivator in one move. With Night Sorrow at this level, the Demon Wing clan's end was near. Sect Elder Duan, the Golden Dragon King, and the others who were looking at the memory crystal ball kept clapping and cheering. They were clear about Xian Cheng's strength and status. Night Sorrow killed him in a short period of time. This meant that the peak combat power of the celestial realm far surpassed the ancient cultivators. We still have to fight. These guys still haven't given up. Night Sorrow, who was drinking a cup of tea, shook his head helplessly. His doppelganger found out the plan of the Black Armor King and the others. What's going on? Why aren't they retreating? King Yawu was stunned for a moment. He felt that the ancient cultivators should retreat after seeing Night Sorrow's combat strength because it was easy to die if they attacked. We underestimated their desire for resources. I will fight in a while. Sect Elder Duan will control the array formation. If any ancient cultivators rush into the array formation recklessly, Uncle Master, Heavenly Concubine, you have to restrain them, said Night Sorrow. There are so many of them. If they attack without regard for anything else, the operation and consumption of the formation will indeed be great. King Yawu said. The unparalleled Grand Matrix was indeed powerful, but there were too many top ancient cultivators. There were 9 divine soul unification realm cultivators and more than 20 cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. Everyone knew how strong the impact was. I can only make the first move. Night Sorrow put down his teacup and shook his head. He passed through the poisonous smoke area and entered the space passageway. He walked side by side with his doppelganger and walked toward the allied army of ancient cultivators. Seeing Night Sorrow appear, the Black Armor King, the prostitute, and the others in the ancient cultivators' camp were shocked. One Night Sorrow was already very terrifying. Now, there were 2 of them. Their cultivation levels and the energy contained in their bodies were almost the same. I originally thought that killing Xian Cheng would be a warning to you and that you would retreat. However, the situation now is that you don't want to lose face. I gave you a way to live, but you want to walk the path of death. Then, let's fight. After saying that, Night Sorrow and his doppelganger released their Dao domains and the Thousand Realms defense body. Then, they charged toward the allied army of ancient cultivators. Over the years, every time the allied army of ancient cultivators had a plan to attack, Night Sorrow would take action to disrupt it. This was because the celestial realm was in great danger. Now that Night Sorrow had taken action, it was also to weaken the impact of the ancient cultivators on the celestial realm. Since Night Sorrow had attacked, the ancient cultivators naturally would not sit still and wait for death. Xian Cheng had died in battle because they did not have time to support and rescue him. Now that Night Sorrow had appeared, they naturally had to kill him. They had to surround and kill him. This was partly because Night Sorrow was an obstacle to their invasion of the New World. Another reason was that Night Sorrow also represented resources. Working together to kill Night Sorrow was in the interest of all the ancient cultivators. A great battle. The true peak battle was a group battle to kill the strongest cultivators below the God Tribulation. Read novels for free forever. Energy shot in all directions. The void cracked, and spatial cracks filled the sky. Knight Sorrow and his doppelganger cooperated in battle. His merit Dao domain was also released to the maximum. This time, he did not hold back. He could not and did not need to hold back in this great battle. Ancient cultivators were constantly sent flying and severely injured by Knight Sorrow. Green Armor and Extreme Flow were dead. Although there were 9 cultivators at the Divine Soul Integration realm besieging him, Knight Sorrow's movement technique was fast. In addition, he did not care about the sputtering energy attacks. After dodging the attacks of Black Armor King and the others, Knight Sorrow killed Green Armor and Extreme Flow first. How dare you come up with such a bad idea? I've said it before. If you have any ideas about the celestial realm, you have to die. After killing Green Armor, Knight Sorrow roared. Black Armor King and the prostitute understood something. They had always been under Knight Sorrow's surveillance. Green Armor had died because he had a plan to violently attack the celestial realm. This was also the reason why Knight Sorrow had come out. After fighting for an hour, Knight Sorrow had killed a Divine Soul Integration realm cultivator and several 9 Emperor's Tribulation ancient cultivators before retreating. He had consumed a lot of energy. If he continued fighting, his Thousand Realms defense body would not be in its best state. He would be easily injured. You guys continue to wait. Knight Sorrow's body flew backward. As he flew backward, he became illusory. The ancient cultivators could not stop him. After Knight Sorrow retreated, the remaining 8 cultivators at the Divine Soul Integration realm looked at each other. They were shocked. Under their all-out attack, Knight Sorrow had a brilliant battle result. Moreover, he had retreated unscathed. He's at the peak of the 7 Emperor's Tribulation. Isn't this a lie? The prostitute cursed. He's not lying. His cultivation level is at this level. However, he's the Merit Emperor. He has 2 forbidden attributes. Moreover, his body cultivation level is beyond the true Chi realm. Black Armor King's expression was solemn. He had grasped several inheritances and knew some things. What do we do? An ancient cultivator at the Divine Soul Integration realm asked the prostitute and Black Armor King. The longer we delay, the harder it will be for us to defeat him. We've reached the point where we can't improve anymore. However, he's not. We're hindered now because we're being held back. The prostitute understood some things. Since he appeared at this time, it's obvious that he's afraid of us attacking together. Everyone, recover as fast as you can. After that, we'll fight. Whether we live or die will be up to fate. Black Armor King then entered a spatial treasure to cultivate. At this time, Knight Sorrow had already begun to recover in the Clear Sky Pagoda. He wanted to recover to his peak state before entering the celestial realm. He did not want to give the Ancient Cultivator Alliance a chance to charge into the celestial realm. Chapter 2304. His body cultivation is unparalleled in the world, and his dual taboo attributes are unique. Coupled with the assistance of his Emperor-level merit cultivation, the human sovereign has the ability to crush others, Elder Duan said with some emotion after watching the memory crystal ball of Yi Shang's battle. His defense technique is also outstanding. It's a heaven-defying technique that can weaken the attacks of others. Coupled with his tyrannical body, he can ignore many attacks. This is the key to being unharmed in a group battle, said the Heavenly Concubine. Heavenly Concubine, what's Knight Sorrow's defense technique? Why can't I understand? King Yawu asked. He was puzzled. He cultivated the Thousand Realms defense body. It should be at the level of 7 realms. When he uses the Thousand Realms defense body, there are 7 virtual realms around him. When the opponent's attack enters the virtual realm's defense body, it will be weakened. The Heavenly Concubine felt that there was nothing to hide. King Yawu was Knight Sorrow's martial uncle. Elder Duan was also a respected senior. Such a heaven-defying technique. When did he inherit it? I've never heard of this before. Sect Elder Duan was stunned after hearing the heavenly concubine's words. When the two of us entered the ancient world to see the world tree, the Thousand Realms defense body is the world tree's defense technique, said the heavenly concubine. I see. I thought you told him. I remember that one of your ancestors cultivated the Thousand Realms defense body and was very successful. At that time, the celestial realm fell, said King Yawu. He had seen the history books and thought that the heavenly concubine had taught Knight Sorrow the Thousand Realms defense body. No, he knows that I know this technique. He didn't want to make things difficult for me, so he didn't ask me. He learned it from the tree's spirit of the world tree. I just didn't expect him to achieve it so quickly. King Yawu nodded. He knew that he was wrong. After an hour, Knight Sorrow recovered. Then, his original body and avatar appeared at the entrance of the space tunnel. At this time, the cultivators of the Allied army had also recovered and were rushing toward the entrance of the space tunnel. Crazy. At this moment, Knight Sorrow realized that he had underestimated the madness of ancient cultivators. For the sake of resources, they did not hesitate to sacrifice their lives. I'll kill whoever gets close first, Knight Sorrow shouted. Following Knight Sorrow's shout, the speed of the ancient cultivators slowed down. Some of them even stopped. This was selfishness. Everyone wanted to fight their way into the celestial realm, but no one wanted to be the target of Knight Sorrow. No one wanted to be the first to stand out. Black Armor King and the others were very clear that Knight Sorrow couldn't defeat 8 Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators, nor could he do anything to everyone. However, if anyone became Knight Sorrow's target, then they would be out of luck. Why are you doing this? You all know very well that I am willing to pay any price to protect the world behind me. If you all want to charge, I will fight to the death. You all will definitely fall. Knight Sorrow looked at Black Armor King, Hor, and the others as he spoke. How many of us can you stop by yourself? The Black Armor King asked sternly. He wanted to strangle Yi Shang to death right now. It was Yi Shang who had blocked his path. Even if you all charge in, what can you do? The world behind me is filled with my clansmen. Wherever you appear, I will know. Can you resist my pursuit? If I can't catch you in 10 years, I can catch you in 100 years or even 1,000 years. How long can you hide? There are some things that you need to think clearly before doing. Knight Sorrow analyzed the pros and cons for Black Armor King and the others. Are you trying to scare us? Horse stared at Knight Sorrow. He was even angrier than Black Armor King because he was the only one left among the 3 leaders of the ancient Profound Ice World. Although he was in charge of the ancient Profound Ice World, the ancient Profound Ice World's strength had been reduced. It was no longer a top force in the ancient world group. Don't yell at me. Don't force me to find someone to attack. I won't attack you for now. Think carefully. Knight Sorrow finished speaking and left. His doppelganger stabbed the blood shield and evil slaying spear into the ground and sat down cross-legged. The current situation was that Knight Sorrow didn't want to fight and the ancient cultivators didn't dare to fight. Retreat first. Black Armor King waved his hand. He knew that he had to think. At the very least, he couldn't be the one to stand out. The whore wanted to say something, but he didn't. He didn't want to retreat, but now that the Black Armor King said to retreat, if he dared to say that he would fight, it would easily anger Knight Sorrow and make Knight Sorrow target him. Success. Knight Sorrow knew that his strategy was useful. He used selfishness to make the ancient cultivators not united. As long as they were suspicious, he could buy some time. Seeing that Knight Sorrow had returned, Lin Piaomiao poured a cup of tea for Knight Sorrow. How's the situation? I scared them. If they attacked like a swarm of bees, it would be really troublesome. After all, the unparalleled formation's defense is limited. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, but how long can this scare them? Jun Xuanji, who had been staying here and didn't talk much, asked. There was no real battle and no big arrangements. Jun Xuanji usually didn't have much to do. She wasn't used to talking to seniors. I'm not trying to scare them. The human sovereign has already killed their top cultivators and intimidated them. Anyone who wants to make a move has to think twice, Huang Ling corrected Jun Xuanji. Let's wait and see. Night Sorrow exhaled. The situation now could change quickly. Maybe the ancient cultivators wouldn't attack, but maybe they would attack in the next moment. No one could predict. His clone guarded the spatial passage. Night Sorrow's main body relaxed. His chi realm was at the peak of the 7th Emperor tribulation, but he felt that it was too difficult to go through the tribulation directly. He still needed some time to stabilize. Also, he didn't dare to go. The ancient cultivators could attack at any time. Without his main body, the defense line could be easily broken. Currently, among the 100 races of the celestial realm, only King Yenwu, the heavenly concubine, and the Grand Elder could fight the ancient cultivators. Moreover, it was a one-on-one battle. Without Night Sorrow's main body, a large-scale attack by the ancient cultivators would be troublesome. Night Sorrow went to the base of the god-slaying squad. He drank 2 jars of wine with his brothers and then ordered the god-slaying squad to retreat. Captain, the battle has begun. Let's fight side by side. Long Jean was reluctant to leave. He didn't want to leave Night Sorrow behind. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, "Thank you, brothers. I understand all of you. But the next battle will be decided by the defensive formation. If the defensive formation is broken, the 100 races of the celestial realm won't be able to hold on. Brother 13, what is the strength of the enemy? No matter who we ask, no one will talk about it." Tianyu stood beside Night Sorrow and asked. Chapter 2305. Brother 13, you have to be careful. We're brothers for life and will live and die together. Although we don't have the strength to fight now, we'll work hard. Night Sorrow said. I know. Everyone is working hard. You're right. We'll grow and fight together. We're brothers who will live and die together. Alright, follow Long Jean and Tianyu and leave. Night Sorrow hugged Night Sorrow and nodded to Long Jean and Tianyu. Father, be careful. Yi Xiaoluo, who was in the god-slaying team, bowed to Night Sorrow. Sir, be careful. Lang Li, Jingyu, Lu Yu, and the others bowed to Night Sorrow. You're still young and have a long way to go. Stick to your dreams and you'll have a bright future. Night Sorrow patted Lang Li's shoulder. Captain, be careful. Even if we fail this time, we can still make a comeback after we cultivate. Liang Yu looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow patted Liang Yu and Yun Huang's shoulders and left. He then went to the First Army's camp. When Night Sorrow arrived, the First Army's men quickly gathered together. Zhuodong, Lin Yun, take your men and leave. Go to Tianhuang City or Shendu City. You can also go to Xingyue City. Night Sorrow nodded to Zhuodong and Lin Yun and patted Lin Yu's shoulder. Commander, when will you be back? Lin Yu asked softly. Night Sorrow had helped her to wake up. After she came to the First Army, she and Night Sorrow were like siblings. 09 Little Say Net, I'll go back after I'm done. I can't leave now. Night Sorrow said. Commander, be careful. Lin Yu's eyes were filled with worry. She knew the situation wasn't good. I will. Night Sorrow smiled at Lin Yu. Night Sorrow returned to the unparalleled Great Array after the First Army's men left. Sect Elder Duan, Big Sister Xian Air, Seniors, please make the necessary arrangements. Our men will retreat to a safe area. We'll retreat to Ethereal Imperial City. If the Peerless Formation can't hold on, there's no point for the Heaven Wasteland Army to stay. It's not worth it to suffer losses, Night Sorrow said to Lin Piaomiao and Sect Elder Duan. The First Army and the God-slaying squad were Night Sorrow's direct subordinates, and other people's orders did not necessarily mean anything. Therefore, Night Sorrow personally ordered them to retreat. Elder Duan and the Golden Dragon King went to make arrangements. Knight Sorrow followed Lin Piaomiao to the Humanitarian League's encampment. When Knight Sorrow arrived, Pu Luo was practicing his fist art while the Great Demon King was practicing his swordsmanship. Both of them were very active in their training. After gesturing for them to sit down, Knight Sorrow explained the situation. Pu Luo, bring the core members of your forces to the 9 Domains world. I'll make the necessary arrangements, Knight Sorrow said to Pu Luo and the others. As for the Humanitarian League, Knight Sorrow had thought about the arrangements. The Humanitarian League was a righteous force. Not only would it not affect the 9 Domains world, but it would also maintain the stability of the 9 Domains world. Once the arrangements are made, we'll return. Let's not talk about the men under us. We'll definitely fight alongside the League leader, Yu Zhu said. Alright, go ahead. The men here will retreat. Knight Sorrow nodded. The Humanitarian League's men retreated, and so did the rest of the Heaven Wasteland army. This arrangement was made because Knight Sorrow felt that if the defensive line was really breached, these men would be of no use and would suffer unnecessary losses. The men of the various divine beast races also retreated to the ethereal Imperial City, making it their second base. This was also Knight Sorrow's idea. Knight Sorrow's idea was that if the defensive line was breached, the first wave of powerful ancient cultivators would not be able to stop them. They would let these men go and avoid unnecessary losses. Then, they would set up a defensive line and not let the ancient cultivators enter the celestial realm endlessly. King Yowu, the elders of the Council of Elders, and the patriarchs of the divine beast races all agreed with Knight Sorrow's arrangement. This was because it was a perfect backup plan. After everything was arranged, Knight Sorrow, King Yowu, the heavenly concubine, and the others stayed in the living area of the Peerless Great Formation without any worries. Knight Sorrow's doppelganger sat at the entrance of the spatial tunnel and monitored the situation of the ancient cultivators. The Black Armor King and the brothel were in a dilemma. Knight Sorrow had already decided to fight to the death. The Black Armor King and the others knew this, so no one wanted to be targeted by Knight Sorrow. What should we do? The brothel set up a barrier and asked the Black Armor King. It's not easy. That guy is very difficult to deal with now. Last time, when we surrounded him together, we still couldn't kill him. He even killed one of us. The Black Armor King sighed. He had to admit that Knight Sorrow's strength was a fact placed in front of everyone. We can't waver. If this continues, we won't have the determination to fight to the death. The brothel said. Then what do you think we should do? We urgently need resources, but we can't really throw away our lives, right? If he catches one of us and bites to death, it will be fatal. If we fail the God-destroying tribulation and die, that's a matter for the future. If we act recklessly now, we will die immediately. The Black Armor King said. Let's call the others over and form a life and death alliance. When we enter the new world, we won't be separated. If we are together, it will be difficult for him to kill us alone. We will go in and start plundering. Once we've plundered enough resources, we will come back. When the time comes, we will divide the resources equally and go back to where they came from. The brothel said the idea he came up with. Original Y version AG head, Hair E5-inch Life and Death Alliance. When we are in their world, we won't be separated. We won't seek to kill the enemy but only plunder the resources. After we return, the alliance will be voided and we will go our separate ways. The Black Armor King repeated the brothel's idea in a low voice. Yes, that's what I mean. The brothel nodded. After pondering for a moment, the Black Armor King felt that it was feasible. He then used his soul to call the other Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators over. They started discussing under the barrier set up by the brothel. Then should we bring our subordinates? A man asked. He was the realm lord of the fierce Gale realm, Lai Feng. He had the most tribulation of 9 emperors cultivators under him. Let's make our own decision. If we bring them along, their lives will be up to fate. We can't do anything about it. As for whether they become cannon fodder or obtain an opportunity, that's their own business. The Black Armor King said. When everyone is discussing with your subordinates, pay attention to the energy barrier. That fella has been observing our movements. Don't let him discover us in advance and then rush over to bite us. The brothel reminded the other Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators. Lai Feng and the others nodded and left. They were all very cautious because they were afraid of being targeted by Night Sorrow. Xian Cheng was targeted and died. Another Divine Soul Unity Realm ancient cultivator charged the fiercest towards Night Sorrow. He even cursed a few words. In the end, he was also killed by Night Sorrow. Chapter 2306. Night Sorrow took a look at the poisonous smoke bottle and put it away. He also gave up on the idea of killing them directly because he said that he wouldn't take the initiative to attack. Martial Uncle, Heavenly Concubine, we might have to take action. Night Sorrow's original body explained the situation to King Yawu and Heavenly Concubine. Then, he brought the two to the spatial passage. Are they really going to throw caution to the wind? They should know that you can easily kill them if they do so. Heavenly Concubine looked at the ancient cultivators and said. We underestimated their thirst for resources and their madness. It seems like they won't stop until they die. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. He had already determined that the ancient cultivators had no intention of retreating. They were still plotting and would definitely attack. It could be in a few days, or it could be in the next moment. Block them. We will do our best to block them. King Yawu said. They will charge. My original body and avatar will block them from the front. You don't have to worry about defense. Just pursue lethality. Night Sorrow said to King Yawu and Heavenly Concubine. King Yawu and Heavenly Concubine nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow's defense wouldn't have a problem blocking the spatial passage. The only problem was the consumption of energy. However, if the two of them attacked fiercely, the other side would be greatly suppressed. Then, the pressure on Night Sorrow would be relatively smaller and the damage he would suffer would be less. Heavenly Concubine, thank you. King Yawu cupped his hands towards Heavenly Concubine. Lord Yawu, you are too polite. Now that we are fighting side by side, there is no need to say these things. Heavenly Concubine was stunned. As a former opponent, she knew King Yawu too well. King Yawu's character was unbending and unyielding. He would rather be injured in battle than take half a step back. But today, he cupped his hands and thanked her. It is what I should do. King Yawu shook his head. They are coming. These lunatics are starting to charge. That's good. Night Sorrow finished speaking. His original body also finished speaking and charged out. At this moment, the ancient cultivators had already made their move. Between the 8 Divine Soul Unification Realm ancient cultivators, there was a thin black chain connecting them. This was to prevent them from being scattered by the array's energy and getting lost in the array. Of course, this would limit their speed and agility. However, the prostitute had said that dodging was useless against Night Sorrow. They were not as fast as Night Sorrow. The most effective method was for the 8 of them to go all out and attack Night Sorrow head-on. Night Sorrow had decided to take action now because he didn't want these people to rush to the entrance of the spatial tunnel. That way, all the attacks would converge at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. In a situation where they couldn't dodge, it wouldn't be easy to withstand. Even if they could, the consumption would be astonishing. There was no verbal communication. Both sides knew that they would not rest until one of them was dead. Night Sorrow used the 7 Realms defense body, Spacetime Realm, and Void Step to kill the 8 people in the brothel. His main target was the brothel. He knew that the change in the situation had started from the brothel. It had started when the brothel had found the Black Armor King. Kill. The 8 members of the brothel began bombarding Night Sorrow with their energy. The spacetime realm hid in the void before reappearing. A spear light struck the body of the brothel. The team was still charging forward. This caused the brothel that had been shot by Night Sorrow to change his expression. If the team continued to charge forward, they could charge into the spatial passageway or past it, but he would be unlucky. Defeat him first. Otherwise, we will be defeated one by one. I will be the first to die. You guys will be the next. The brothel shouted. Night Sorrow's body flashed and dodged the blade of the brothel. Following that, he executed his spear art again. Since they have given up on their flexibility, let's kill them together. King Yawu, who was at the entrance of the spatial tunnel, said. Night Sorrow's clone did not object. He continued to kill his way out. The ancient cultivators had given up on fighting separately. They had lost their flexibility. Although their offensive power was strong, their effectiveness was low. King Yawu and the heavenly concubine were both experts in the divine soul unity realm. They were not afraid of facing any divine soul unity realm expert alone. Now, the other party was only relying on their energy bombardment. It was not a threat to them. Instead, the two's sharp attacks made the brothel and the others feel very uncomfortable. Figures surged. Both parties started fighting outside the spatial tunnel entrance. However, they were still moving towards the spatial tunnel entrance. This was the main purpose and goal of the ancient cultivators. They were not trying to kill Night Sorrow, King Yawu, and the heavenly concubine. They were trying to break through the interception and enter the celestial realm. Merit Dao Domain. Night Sorrow's original body and his clone both executed the Merit Taboo Primordial Dao Domain. They suppressed the brothel and the others before continuing to kill them. Night Sorrow's main target was the brothel. It was the same for King Yawu and the heavenly concubine. They were targeting Night Sorrow. Brothel, come to the middle of us. Black Armor King shouted. He knew that if this continued, the brothel would fall. And after the brothel fell, Night Sorrow's next target would be him. Black Armor King was very clear about this. Therefore, he wanted to let the brothel live. This way, the alliance's strength would not be damaged. It was also in line with his personal interests. The brothel retreated to the middle of the 8 people. Night Sorrow could not attack. No matter which direction he attacked from, the ancient cultivators would attack with their blades violently. They would use their energy to suppress him. Night Sorrow, don't attack forcefully. We will hold them back. If they continue to bombard him, their energy consumption will be greater than ours. King Yawu's soul spirit transmission rang in Night Sorrow's spirit sea. At this moment, the heavenly concubine also looked at Night Sorrow. She had also received King Yawu's transmission. Nodding at the heavenly concubine, Night Sorrow's battle strategy changed. He no longer attacked forcefully. After attacking, he would dodge and change his target. Although the movements of the brothel and the others were restricted, they were still very fast. They kept moving toward the spatial passageway. The ancient cultivator team entered the spatial passageway. Night Sorrow and the other 2 did not restrict them because the spatial passageway was not big. With a group of people fighting inside, there was little space to dodge. After exiting the spatial passageway, the Dao domains of the ancient cultivators, Night Sorrow, and the others were all in vibrating mode. They did not allow the smoke to touch them. Charge directly. Black Armor King shouted. You can forgive the sins of the heavens, but you can't survive the sins you bring upon yourself. If you take this step, none of you will be able to return alive, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow's voice was very calm, but the Black Armor King and the others were shocked. Night Sorrow's words were not a threat. Instead, they were like an oath and a prophecy. Descend. Suppress. Yi Shang shouted. As Yi Shang said those words, the power of his Merit Taboo Dao domain rose to a whole new level. The Dao domain was filled with the power of the world. This was Yi Shang's word law, augmenting his combat strength. Night Sorrow did not use it in the ancient world because there was no world origin power. Thus, verbal law did not have much power. However, it could be used in the celestial realm. Don't worry about this. charged directly. Black Armor King was a little scared. He wanted to be as far away from Night Sorrow as possible. The other ancient cultivators were the same. They knew that danger was coming. If they did not avoid Night Sorrow, they would be in danger of dying. XK looks at and use original version, P chapter UO. Black Armor King and the others insisted on entering the array. Night Sorrow and the others could not stop them. Chapter 2307. Their movements were restricted, and they were being attacked by the formation. This made the Black Armor King and the others feel very uncomfortable. The pressure was great, and the consumption was great. This was fatal to them. Night Sorrow, his doppelganger, King Yawu, and the heavenly concubine were like fish in water. They relied on the formation to defend, and they only needed to consider attacking. The Grand Elder controlled the formation and used the formation to gather the energy of heaven and earth to attack. He continuously depleted the Black Armor King and the others' strength. The Black Armor King and the others could only rely on the black chains to communicate and charge forward. The prostitute, who didn't have anyone to help her, was constantly attacked by Night Sorrow, King Yawu, and the heavenly concubine. The Black Armor King and the others were focused on their own defense. They couldn't tell which energy came from the formation and which came from the real person. The prostitute was frightened by the continuous attacks. She kept roaring and shaking the black chains for help, but where was the help? The other ancient cultivators hit her in the middle, but they couldn't block the attacks of Night Sorrow and the others. After a while, the prostitute's body collapsed. Her soul left her body and ran away. She regretted it. She came up with the idea and was targeted by Night Sorrow. In the end, she fell into this situation. Could the prostitute's soul leave her body and run away? The answer was no. Night Sorrow used the human emperor's seal to envelop the prostitute's soul and burn it. Part 6D of Section 6D of the new chapter. The Black Armor King and the others had heavy hearts. Although they didn't see it, they knew something had happened to the prostitute because the chains connected to her stopped shaking. The battle continued. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the prostitute's soul was completely destroyed by the fire of virtue. The prostitute is dead. Next. Night Sorrow shouted. The Black Armor King and the others didn't say anything. They continued to charge in one direction. They didn't care if they consumed a lot of energy. Night Sorrow communicated with King Yawu and the heavenly concubine and set their target on a relatively weaker ancient cultivator. As for the cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors, they couldn't care about them now. They could only let the White Tiger King and the Golden Dragon King intercept them. They did this because the Peerless formation couldn't stop the Black Armor King and the others from charging in one direction. They had to attack them effectively before they rushed out of the formation. Fall down. With Night Sorrow's true body blocking in front, Black Armor King and the others had their movement speed slowed down. Another Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivator was killed. Come on, next one. Night Sorrow spoke after killing another one. What Black Armor King and the others didn't want to hear the most was Night Sorrow's voice, because it was a death sentence. Whenever Night Sorrow opened his mouth, someone would fall. The massacre was still going on. The Black Armor King and the others were consuming more and more of their energy. However, they were getting closer and closer to the edge of the unparalleled Great Array. The Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators were very powerful. They relied on the chains to determine their position. They were charging in the right direction and weren't affected by the illusion. Night Sorrow, King Yawu, and the heavenly concubine's attacks became more violent. They had to kill 1 or 2 more people before the Black Armor King and the others rushed out. That way, the strength of both sides would be closer. The battle was still going on. However, Night Sorrow also made a backup plan. He left a soul imprint on the robes of the Black Armor King and the others. At this time, he was certain that it was impossible to trap the Black Armor King and the others in the formation. The Black Armor King and the others would definitely run away. King Yawu and the heavenly concubine were also going crazy. They knew that the Black Armor King and the others weren't far away. They only had a small chance to expand their victory. When the Black Armor King and the others rushed out of the formation area, other than the heavily injured Black Armor King, there were still 4 Divine Soul Unity Realm ancient cultivators. The 5 of them directly burned their essence blood to escape. Knight Sorrow's clone chased after them while his true body blocked King Yo-Woo and the heavenly concubine. Not chasing? King Yo-Woo looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. If we chase now, both sides will burn their essence blood. It's not worth it. My clone will follow and rely on the soul imprint to lock onto them. They won't be able to escape. Let's deal with the other ancient cultivators who entered the formation first. Knight Sorrow said to King Yo-Woo and the heavenly concubine. Knight Sorrow had considered this arrangement. The Black Armor King and the others were crazy. They didn't care about burning their essence blood. If they chased after them, they would have to burn their essence blood too. The consequences would be very serious. In addition, there were still many ancient cultivators trapped in the unparalleled Great Array. If they didn't deal with them, it would be a big problem. If the formation collapsed, all the ancient cultivators would rush in. Can you confirm their location? They won't get lost, the heavenly concubine asked. Normally speaking, they won't. There are only 5 of them now. We can deal with them here and stabilize the formation. It's not too late to deal with them slowly. Knight Sorrow nodded. Then, his true body entered the formation and started killing the other ancient cultivators who entered the formation. There were too many ancient cultivators. There was also the problem of consumption. After half a day, Knight Sorrow and the others finally cleaned up the formation. Knight Sorrow brought Sect Elder Duan and the others to the living area at the core of the formation. Then, he brewed a pot of tea. Let me make a summary first. Then, we can discuss the next plan. Knight Sorrow said. Tell us. We'll do it. King Bloodlin said. They already knew the results of Knight Sorrow, King Yo-Woo, and the heavenly concubine. Then, Knight Sorrow made a summary and gave his opinion. Knight Sorrow felt that the ancient cultivators rushing into the celestial realm was a bad thing. However, it was also relative. Now that the Black Armor King and the others had escaped, the unparalleled Great Array would be stable. The remaining ancient cultivators wouldn't be able to break through. In other words, they only needed to think about dealing with the 5 ancient cultivators. That's right. On the surface, it looks like our defense has failed. However, we killed 3 of their Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators. That's close to half of their peak combat power. In fact, we won. King Yo-Woo nodded. Next, we'll completely eliminate the danger at the spatial passageway. Later, let the Heaven Desolate Steel Guards and the First Army come over. We'll bring our men out and kill a few waves. We'll completely defeat the ancient cultivators here. Knight Sorrow said. Starting an all-out war. Knight Sorrow planned to move out with the ancient cultivators while they were without a leader. He planned to directly engage in a decisive battle and completely eliminate the danger at the spatial passageway. Okay. I'll send the order immediately. Let the men teleport over. Lin Piao nodded. Although the defensive line had been broken, everyone's heart wasn't heavy at all. That was because there were only 10 ancient cultivators at the Unity of Divine Soul Realm at the beginning. However, under the circumstances where the Heaven Realm's troops didn't fall, half of them were killed. These guys are still running. However, they didn't split up. The situation isn't too difficult to deal with. Knight Sorrow smiled. His doppelganger had been using the soul imprint to lock onto the situation of the Black Armor King and the others. Therefore, he could make a clear judgment. Chapter 2308. Yes, let's settle this first. Those 5 guys are now running towards the depths of the wasteland. Among them, the Black Armor King is seriously injured, and the other 4 are also injured to varying degrees. They probably want to go to a place where no one is around to heal. They won't make any big moves for the time being. Night Sorrow said. Now, his doppelganger was far behind the Black Armor King and the others, confirming their direction and intentions. Although they entered the celestial realm, they're scared out of their wits. They won't dare to move recklessly. King Yawu nodded. He felt that the Black Armor King and the others wouldn't dare to move recklessly. They ran into the wasteland to avoid trouble. Then, the Heaven Wasteland Army of the Celestial Realm, the Humanitarian League, and the Divine Beast Clan's troops once again arrived at the spatial passage. What's going on? Let's go to Y. Night Sorrow, you don't have to fight. You stay here and guard this place. Heavenly Concubine, Elder Duan, and I will lead the troops out to defeat the remaining troops and stabilize this place, King Yawu said. That's fine. If you encounter any problems, Martial Uncle can crush my soul crystal. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow decided not to fight. First of all, the Black Armor King and the others were in an unstable situation. They could start killing and plundering at any time. His original body had to be prepared to fight at any time. In addition, he was in a state of relaxation and consolidation. This way, he would get closer to the tribulation. Tribulation of the Eighth Emperor. Night Sorrow felt that once he entered the tribulation of the Eighth Emperor, his combat power would increase a little. He would have a more obvious advantage against the Black Armor King and the others. Night Sorrow's wife and son were fighting. His daughter, Yi Xiaolei, accompanied him at the spatial passage. Daughter, your elder sister and second brother are married. You have to hurry up, Night Sorrow said with a smile as he drank the tea made by his daughter. No, I'll accompany father, mother, and aunts, Yi Xiaolei said with a smile. Haha. Your elder sister said the same thing. Night Sorrow laughed. He was in a good mood. The Black Armor King and the others had escaped, but it wasn't a disaster. Since the Black Armor King and the others didn't move, he wasn't in a hurry. In addition, Night Sorrow knew that it would be very difficult for Black Armor King and the others to recover without a long period of time. This time was enough for him to enter the Eight Emperor Tribulation. As for the ancient cultivators in the spatial tunnel, their levels were generally not high. King Yawu, the Heavenly Concubine, and Sect Elder Duan led the team to clear them out. Father, you can kill Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators. You are already invincible. In the future, you can return to the city in the sky and live a peaceful life. No one will be able to threaten the stability of our world and hometown. Yi Xiaolei said. Her heart ached for her father. Her father had been out fighting all year round, and she knew how much he had sacrificed. Soon. Hard work will always pay off. Night Sorrow nodded. Far away in the heavenly desolation city, Tran Hung and the elders of the Council of Elders were watching Night Sorrow's battle in the crystal ball. Their eyes were full of excitement, because they knew that after a period of time, the celestial realm would truly be stabilized. Lord Castellan, the young Castellan is too powerful. The elder of the Zhaixing sect said. In the future, he is no longer the young Castellan. He is the human sovereign. Tran Hung said. Hearing Tran Hung's words, the others nodded. Everyone understood what Tran Hung meant. Night Sorrow did not need to be the young Castellan. Everyone had to follow the orders of the human sovereign. Haha. We are growing so fast. It is true that all the heroes look to the present. Our generation is destined to be recorded in the history books. Our era is the beginning of the glory of the 100 races in the celestial realm. Tran Hung said with a laugh. Yes, your majesty can now kill Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators. After entering the 8 Emperor Tribulation, you will have a great advantage. When you enter the 9 Emperor Tribulation, you can try to break the Demon Imperial City. Qin Qinjie said. Your majesty, the more successful you are, the more afraid I am. Fortunately, my mistake did not lead to a disaster. Otherwise, even 1,000 cuts would not be enough to atone for my sins. Xiao Jun said with some emotion. When he banished Night Sorrow to the celestial wasteland, it left a shadow in his heart. Elder Xiao, you are overthinking. My great prophecy technique was effective. I knew that he would be fine, so I did not stop him. So there is no need to think too much. Tran Heng shook his head. He did not want Xiao Jun to bear the pressure. Hearing Tran Heng's words, Xiao Jun heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that Night Sorrow's return was not a fluke. With Tran Heng's attention, Night Sorrow would not fall in the celestial wasteland. We cannot let down our guard. The human sovereign and King Ye Wu have stabilized the situation. If something happens on our side, we will lose face. Tran Heng said. Rest assured, Your Majesty. Xiao Jun and the others bowed. Night Sorrow's rise made them feel at ease, but they also knew that this was a special time. Night Sorrow was relaxing every day. Other than that, he would give guidance to Yi Xiaolei's cultivation. As for Yi Xiaoluo, Yi Xiaokei, and Yi Lingxi, they followed Lin Piaomiao and Datura out to fight. Night Sorrow's doppelganger confirmed that the Black Armor King and the others had stopped moving in the depths of the celestial wasteland. He knew that they would be safe for a while. At this moment, in a forest deep in the celestial wasteland, the Black Armor King and the others sat facing each other. The supreme world is indeed different from our ancient world without an origin. Lai Feng said. That's right. It is worth risking our lives to come here. Another ancient cultivator said. Let's hurry up and recover. We have to be careful. The celestial realm is very complicated. The main thing is that there are cultivators who can kill us. If we are not careful, we will die. We have to follow our original plan. We cannot split up or we will be defeated one by one, the Black Armor King said. The Black Armor King said. He was the most afraid right now. He was in his weakest state, and he needed the most time to recover. He understood these people too well. Black Armor King, don't worry. Although we are anxious to get resources, we will not act alone. Caution is the key to success. We can afford the time to recover. Lai Feng said. The others also nodded, but two of them glanced at Lai Feng. Lai Feng did have some ulterior motives. With the Black Armor King around, the other four would not become Night Sorrow's main target. The group of people entered their respective spatial treasures and began to recover and cultivate. At this moment, Night Sorrow's doppelganger, who was sitting cross-legged, stood up. Why? Because his soul imprint had suddenly disappeared. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow's doppelganger nodded. He understood. There was nothing to be alarmed about. The five of them had disappeared, which meant that they had entered their space treasures. It would not be wrong for him to wait here. You guys recover. I will also cultivate slowly. Night Sorrow's doppelganger continued to meditate. Night Sorrow's original body, who was outside the ancient world's passageway, smiled. Then, he asked Yi Xiaolei to make a pot of tea. Father is in a good mood. Yi Xiaolei smiled. Chapter 2309. I don't know much about the big picture. As long as you are happy, Yi Xiaolei said with a smile. Haha. You really don't need to know about the big picture. You just need to live happily. Night Sorrow patted Yi Xiaolei's shoulder. He knew that his daughter's personality was the same as Yang Lei's. They were both simple and straightforward. Night Sorrow stayed at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. He analyzed the information sent back by the spies every day. The three teams led by King Ye Wu, Heavenly Concubine, and Grand Elder were progressing smoothly. They completely defeated the ancient cultivators. Most of them were killed. The war had been going on for 2 years in the real world. Everyone in the celestial realm had returned. The area around the spatial tunnel was completely empty. The ancient cultivators didn't dare to come close. Night Sorrow, leave the defense here to me. You can relax and see how to deal with those troublemakers, Elder Duan said. That's fine. Those guys won't come back until they are forced to do something desperate. They won't attack here either, Night Sorrow said. Okay, I will send you a message if anything happens. Elder Duan nodded. Night Sorrow brought the god-slaying team, the first leader, his wife, children, and heavenly concubine to Night Moon Villa in ethereal Imperial City. King Yowu also came. After sitting down, King Yowu looked at Night Sorrow and asked, Night Sorrow, what do you plan to do next? I know where those 5 guys are, but I don't want to touch them now. I plan to stabilize myself and pass the tribulation of the 8 emperors first. It will be difficult for those 5 to recover without thousands of years. If I have time, it will be easier to deal with them in the future. If I want to do it, I will kill them. I can't give them a chance to run around, Night Sorrow said. You're right. Let's go and kill them now. If we can't finish them off in one fell swoop, it'll be troublesome if they run around randomly. You just focus on your cultivation. I'll stay here and maintain the connection between Tianhuang City and the ancient world's passageway. If anything happens, I'll be able to make arrangements immediately. King Yowu agreed with Night Sorrow's suggestion. I'll keep an eye on those 5 people. Senior uncle, you don't have to worry. I do plan on going home to rest for a while, Night Sorrow said with a smile. King Yowu nodded. He understood that Night Sorrow really needed to relax. Night Sorrow and his family left the celestial realm and returned to the 9 Domains world. When he arrived at 9 Zones world, Night Sorrow went to the back of Ceiling Sky Hall to look at the world tree. The world tree had grown very tall, and part of its body was already in space. With a smile, Night Sorrow took the teleportation portal back to Sky City. After sitting down at home, Night Sorrow asked, 6th senior sister, how's Medicine Valley doing? Very good. Medicine Valley is back on track. It's back to the Medicine Valley we were familiar with, Aoi said with a smile. That's good. Father, how's Night Moon Dynasty? Night Sorrow looked at his father. It's rare for you to come home. You should rest well. Night Moon is doing well. Our Yi family is very strict with ourselves, Yi Wuyo said. Night Sorrow nodded. He was most worried that Medicine Valley and Night Moon Dynasty weren't developing well and weren't taking the right path. $G-, there are too many external forces in 9 Zones world. It's inevitable that there will be some conflicts in development. There are some things that need to be restrained. Of course, we can't just tolerate if we're bullied. There's a limit to it. Night Sorrow looked at Yi Nianxiao. Yi Nianxiao had dealt with Night Moon Dynasty a lot. Brother, don't worry. I'll take care of Night Moon's matters. You should relax now that you're home. Yi Nianxiao poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. That's right. Since we're home, we should take a rest. No matter what, father, let's have a good drink tonight and drink until we're drunk. Yi Shang looked at Yi Wuyo and Father Gu as he spoke. Sure. Then let's drink until we're drunk. Old man Gu nodded with a smile. After drinking with his family, Night Sorrow went to rest. He had been very tired all these years. Now, he could finally see some light. After accompanying his wife for a few days, Night Sorrow boarded the boat on the lake and let it drift with the wind. Sailing the boat on the lake was what Night Sorrow enjoyed the most. It was also the most relaxing. He didn't think about anything else. As the wooden boat trembled, Heavenly Concubine appeared on it. Feel the wind? Night Sorrow sat up and threw the blanket that he had prepared for his family on the boat. That's good. I've never experienced this feeling before. Heavenly Concubine and Night Sorrow were separated by a tea table as they lay down on the soft couch. Tell me the truth. Are you used to the 9 regions world? Night Sorrow asked. I'm used to it. I've never been this relaxed. When we went to the ancient world, I was thinking about this place. I wanted to drink a cup of hot tea by the lake after the battle and listen to the waves, Heavenly Concubine said. It's good that you're used to it. I hope you can live well, Night Sorrow said. I'm living well now. There are some things that can't affect me. There are some things that you might not be as open-minded as me. When you mention them, you're even careful, but I can face them calmly. Heavenly Concubine turned to look at Night Sorrow with a smile in her eyes. There are two things that can affect you. One is Jun Xuanji. You don't like her, but she's my friend, so it's difficult for you to get along with her, Night Sorrow said. It's not difficult. She's her, and I'm me. I'll tell you the second thing. You're worried that when you fight with the Demon Wing clan, I'll be troubled, right? The celestial realm doesn't have the dangers of the ancient cultivators, so I won't leave the 9 regions world. You don't need to tell me about the Demon Wing clan, and I won't ask about it. We've fought for 1,000 reincarnations, and it's time for it to end. It's good for both sides. We'll have a new beginning, Heavenly Concubine said. A new beginning. You're right. There are some things that I'm worried about. Come, try the tea I made. Night Sorrow began to make tea. I have to drink the tea made by the Merit Emperor, Heavenly Concubine said with a smile. Hearing Heavenly Concubine's words, Night Sorrow's worries disappeared. As a friend, he had always been worried that Heavenly Concubine would feel pressured and unable to get over some things. But now, he no longer had that worry. Right, Zhu Jiuyun, be careful. I feel that something isn't right, Heavenly Concubine said. I don't quite understand what you're saying. Night Sorrow shook his head. The Demon Wing clan has records that the Demon Queen will be born with 2 horns. She has 2 horns, Heavenly Concubine said. You're thinking too much. The Netherworld race is all like that, Night Sorrow said with a big laugh. Can you be any more foolish? I naturally have my reasons for saying that. I'm not going to bother with you, Heavenly Concubine said and leaned back on the couch. Night Sorrow was a bit stunned. Heavenly Concubine wouldn't mention this for no reason. If she did, then there must be a problem. Chapter 23:10. You, forever H, forever. Free to look at Chi, little you said. Is it related to you, to the Demon Wing clan? Is it the same as Jun Xuanji? Night Sorrow asked. The Heavenly Concubine didn't say anything. There were some things she didn't want to talk about because it involved problems she didn't want to face. Night Sorrow's body flashed and left the wooden boat. He went to the city in the sky and took the teleportation array to the Night Moon Villa. Long Jin, Xuanji, where's Jiuyun? Night Sorrow asked after arriving at the god-slaying team's encampment. I don't know. I haven't seen her since she followed me to the ancient world spatial tunnel, Jun Xuanji said. I only saw her that time. She left after that. I don't know the details, Long Jin shook his head. Night Sorrow, what happened? Lin Piaomiao, who discovered that Night Sorrow had left the city in the sky, chased after him. Yi Shang looked at Lin Piaomiao and told her to mobilize the Council of Elders, the Castle of Fiend Gods, the Human Dao Alliance, and the other factions. They had to find Zhu Jiuyun and send him to the 9 Realms world as soon as possible. Lin Piaomiao nodded. She didn't ask why. She knew that Night Sorrow had his reasons for making such arrangements. Night Sorrow didn't say anything to the others and returned to the 9 domain world. Actually, he already knew that Zhu Jiuyun might be the same as Jun Xuanji. She was also a reincarnated soul and had a lot to do with the Demon Wing clan. The Heavenly Concubine discovered some clues, but because of the Demon Wing clan, she didn't say anything. The situation wasn't good. Those who could reincarnate were all experts. After merging with the reincarnation, their strength would increase. Night Sorrow didn't know whose reincarnation Zhu Jiuyun was. Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian were both men. Their reincarnations wouldn't be women. He didn't know which expert in the Demon Wing clan was a woman. After returning to the 9 domain world, Night Sorrow sat on the wooden boat again. The Heavenly Concubine was still there. Dealt with? The Heavenly Concubine poured a cup of water for Night Sorrow and asked. Night Sorrow held his teacup and thought for a moment before saying, I don't know. She's already gone. Maybe she already knows something. Normally, she shouldn't disappear in front of people. The heavenly concubine shook her head and didn't say anything. Night Sorrow didn't ask either. He wouldn't ask the heavenly concubine about anything related to the demon wing race. He didn't like to force people. Actually, it's nothing. Your cultivation is about to reach the 8 Emperor Tribulation. No matter who it is, as long as they haven't passed the God-destroying tribulation, they won't be your match. There's nothing to worry about, said the heavenly concubine. You're right, but I don't want to lose a friend. Night Sorrow heaved a sigh of relief. Zhu Jiuyun had followed him into battle many times, so he was loyal to him. So that's what you think. I understand now. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and nodded. She thought that Night Sorrow was considering threats, but now she understood that Night Sorrow did not want to lose his friends. Heavenly Concubine knew that she had underestimated Night Sorrow. She had underestimated Night Sorrow. Leaning against the soft couch, Night Sorrow thought. He knew that the celestial realm had spies of the demon wing race. The demon wing race definitely had a way to transmit information. They might even have a teleportation array. If something happened to Zhu Jiuyun, some things would be out of control. After arranging for people to search, Night Sorrow could only wait for news. He could only deal with this matter if he found Zhu Jiuyun. But in fact, Zhu Jiuyun seemed to have evaporated. The people of the celestial realms searched together, but they couldn't find him. After resting in the city in the sky for 2 months, Night Sorrow went through his tribulation. He went through the 8 Emperor Tribulation, which was slightly weaker than the 7 Emperor Tribulation. He raised his Qi realm to the 8 Emperor Tribulation. Then, he went into seclusion in the Clear Sky Pagoda for a while to stabilize his cultivation. After successfully passing the tribulation, the Yi family naturally had a big celebration. Night Sorrow also invited the heavenly concubine. Are you running out of resources again? I'll think of a way to buy some for you, Lin Piaomiao said after drinking a cup of wine with Night Sorrow. There's no need. When I fought against the ancient cultivators, I killed some of the ancient cultivators with powerful bodies. I've collected all of their blood essence. My following cultivation won't be a problem, Yi Sorrow said with a smile. Using battle to nurture battle. Your cultivation method is really impressive. I can't help but admire you. The heavenly concubine raised her wine cup at Night Sorrow. Do you think I want to? This is forcing me to walk this path, Night Sorrow said with a smile. 13, you are showing off a little, Yang Lei said after filling Night Sorrow's wine cup to the brim. After Yang Lei said that, everyone laughed. Night Sorrow's Qi realm had also reached the 8 Emperor Tribulation. Everyone was very relaxed. During the chat, Night Sorrow asked about the current situation of the 9-domain world. Currently, the Council of Elders and the 9-domain commanders' residents are handling the follow-up arrangements for the migration. The Ice Phoenix race's Grand Elder Huang Ling and Auntie Fei brought people to the 9-domain world to cooperate with Grandfather and the 2 deputy commanders. They also set up a law enforcement team. The law enforcement team is joint. There are law enforcers from the God's Capital and Heaven Desolate Steel Guards. They are enforcing the laws set by the commander's residence. Lin Piaomiao explained the situation to Night Sorrow. In fact, she was in charge of the communication, but she made the arrangements. Then there shouldn't be a problem. Night Sorrow nodded. There won't be a problem. Lord Tran Hung and Marshal Uncle have emphasized this point. The migrants must follow the rules of the 9-domain world. No matter which race causes trouble, they must be dealt with strictly, Lin Piaomiao said. The 9-domain world is very big now. Many places are uninhabited. It is a good thing that other races are coming to the 9-domain world to develop. Of course, where there is life, there will be competition. Some things can be dealt with slowly, Yi Wuyo said. Night Sorrow nodded. He was relieved now because the mainstream had formed. Even if there were bad people, they wouldn't dare to act recklessly. You're not going to go into seclusion again, are you? You need to rest more, Aoi said to Night Sorrow. I'll stay at home with you. Night Sorrow smiled. In fact, Night Sorrow really wanted to go into seclusion to cultivate his body. He wanted to raise his body to the tribulation of 9 emperors as soon as possible. However, in order to accompany his family, he made some arrangements. He wanted the 9-domain doppelganger to stop researching the 1,000 realms defensive body and come back to accompany his family while his main body cultivated. Mother, you don't have to worry. The highest realm for cultivators is the tribulation of 9 emperors, which is the soul uniting realm. No matter how much my father cultivates, he won't be able to reach the tribulation of 10 emperors. He will reach the limit soon. At that time, he won't be able to cultivate even if he wants to, Yi Qingyan said with a smile. Hearing Yi Qingyan's words, everyone laughed. However, Lin Piaomiao felt a little depressed. She knew that Night Sorrow's path was blocked by the God-destroying tribulation. Only by passing the God-destroying tribulation could he truly become Wu Yu. Now was not the time. In the following days, Night Sorrow's main body went into seclusion in the sky ceiling hall. His 9-domain doppelganger returned to the city in the sky. In addition, his battle doppelganger in the celestial realm slowly investigated and found the exact location of the spatial treasure of Black Armor King and the others. Chapter 23:11. Combat was a combination of offense and defense. Night Sorrow relied on the spacetime realm and the 1,000 worlds defensive body. As for his body, it was the unparalleled virtuous Tao body. The 1,000 worlds defensive body was formed by Night Sorrow's 7th realm. However, it was not fully developed yet. The 1,000 worlds defensive body was different from other absolute arts. Once an absolute art was mastered, it would be completed. However, every additional realm of the 1,000 worlds defensive body had to be carefully constructed so that it would not clash with the previous realm. In the city in the sky, Night Sorrow's 9-domain doppelgangers were no different from the main body except for the fact that they could not have sex. One could even say that only the heavenly concubine could tell that he was a doppelganger. Without sufficient cultivation, one would not be able to tell the difference between the soul of the main body and the doppelganger. Time passed slowly. Night Sorrow's cultivation increased rapidly. However, he was still worried that there was no news of Zhu Jiuyun. Night Sorrow also understood that when Zhu Jiuyun reappeared, she would be a different person. Not only in terms of memory, but also in terms of cultivation. When the reincarnated body awakened, it would have the cultivation experience and memories of the original body. The cultivation realm would still be there. It was only through time that one could cultivate without any bottlenecks. In addition, Yishan had some gains from his investigations. The most outstanding woman in the history of the Demon Wing clan was not the heavenly concubine but 2 other people. One was called Demon Jade Concubine, who was the leader of the Demon Wing clan. The other was even more famous, Demon Ancestor. Night Sorrow was shocked to find out that the Devil Ancestor was a woman. He always thought that the Devil Ancestor was a man. Who would have thought that she was a woman? Night Sorrow knew that if it was Imo Yufei, it would not be a big problem. She was just a divine soul unity realm expert. However, if it was the Devil Ancestor, it would be a big problem. The Devil Ancestor was the cultivator closest to the Divine Emperor realm in the history of the Devil Wing clan. Standing on the wooden boat and allowing the waves to push it forward, Yishang stood with his hands behind his back as he pondered these questions. He had to ponder because he had to shoulder these questions. Are you confused? The heavenly concubine and Lin Piaomiao landed on the wooden boat. A little. There are some things that I don't quite understand, Night Sorrow said. Tell me, maybe I'll know. After all, I'm much older than you. Heavenly concubine smiled and sat next to Lin Piaomiao on the soft mattress. What is the situation like when a soul reincarnates? Both in peak condition and on the verge of death? What's the longest duration? Night Sorrow asked. I do know about that. It doesn't matter if the soul is reincarnated in a peak state or in a near-death state. The success of the reincarnation depends on luck. After reincarnating, they won't have any memories, so they're no different from other cultivators. They might be a bit more outstanding, but some cultivators who mature late have average cultivation talent. They don't have any advantages in the early stages, so it's very easy for them to fall. The heavenly concubine explained and then talked about the time. There was no way to control the time. If it was a prepared soul reincarnation, then the time would be shorter and the location could be determined. If it was a soul reincarnation that was on the brink of death, then it was hard to say. The soul power of a high-level cultivator was solidified. Even if it drifted for endless years, it would not be destroyed. No one knew how long it would take, and no one knew where it would end up. I can't be sure. It's not a big deal to choose one of the two. Night Sorrow turned around and sat down facing the heavenly concubine and Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao took out some food from the food box and placed it on the table. You're always on the wooden boat and don't go back. Yang Lei even said that she'll give birth to a fat son for you. Haha. It's almost impossible for me to have a descendant now. I've realized that. Night Sorrow laughed. The higher one's achievement, the harder it was to have a descendant. This was a law. Night Sorrow cultivated to become a functional great emperor. His body was close to the tribulation of 9 emperors. His body was like a crystal and his inherited genes were too strong. Therefore, it was almost impossible for him to have a descendant. Impossible. We have a lot of time. Not necessarily. Lin Piaomiao shook her head. Is it appropriate for you husband and wife to say this in front of a woman who has been single all her life? The heavenly concubine mumbled. What's wrong with that? It's not like you don't know anything. Night Sorrow smiled. Me? Piaomiao, let me tell you why he doesn't go back to accompany you. It's because this isn't his original body. His clone naturally can't consider having a child with you. The heavenly concubine glared at Night Sorrow and began to reveal the truth. Night Sorrow, you? Lin Piaomiao was stunned. She really didn't know about Night Sorrow's body transformation. Sister Xian, don't blame me. Now that we are in a precarious situation, I have to work hard. My body isn't far from the tribulation of 9 emperors. I plan to make a breakthrough. This way, it will be much easier to kill Black Armored King and the other 4. Also, I won't hide it from you. Zhu Jiuyun is the reincarnation of one of the 2 experts of the Demon Wing clan. Furthermore, he might have already awakened. If it's Demon Jade Concubine, then it's still better. She's only an expert in the Divine Soul Unity realm. She might even be an invincible expert. This isn't considered scary. If it's the reincarnation of the demon ancestor's soul, then the problem is serious. Night Sorrow opened a wine jar and said, Night Sorrow, your investigation is very thorough. The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, It's very likely that it's the demon ancestor. With 2 golden horns on his head, he's the demon emperor. This is the prophecy of the Demon Wing clan, right? Night Sorrow smiled. The heavenly concubine let out a breath and took a big gulp of wine. Let's talk about Zhu Jiuyun. Actually, I've already betrayed the Demon Wing clan. I shouldn't call it betrayal. I've made a choice. I've chosen to live as a person of the 9-domain world. Then, I'll tell you more details. Following which, the heavenly concubine explained the reason why she discovered Zhu Jiuyun's problem. Mo Tianji had possessed Zhu Jiuyun's doppelganger once. However, because the doppelganger didn't have any bloodline genes, she didn't discover anything. She only felt that the 2 golden horns on his head were a prophecy. However, this time, when she saw Zhu Jiuyun at the ancient world spatial passageway, the heavenly concubine felt the same bloodline. It could even be said that there was a suppressive force. It's naturally easy to analyze if the bloodline is the same. She's from the Demon Wing clan. However, there's a suppressive force on me. That's where the problem arises. In the history of the Demon Wing clan, there are only 2 women who have greater achievements than me. One of them is stronger than me. However, it's impossible for her to suppress me. She's the Demon Jade Concubine that you guys are talking about. There's only one person who can suppress me. That person is the demon ancestor who failed the god-destroying tribulation but is infinitely close to the divine emperor realm. The heavenly concubine confirmed Night Sorrow's analysis. It's good that it's confirmed. All that's left is to work hard. Night Sorrow nodded. I'll send people to continue digging her out. Lin Piaomiao's expression was very serious because this was a crisis for Night Sorrow. There's no need to dig her out. When she and Jun Xuanji arrived at the ancient world's spatial passageway, the two of us met. When I was suspicious, she left. The two of us know what happened. Do you think you'll still dig her out? The heavenly concubine shook her head. ESD unspecified currency / that means she's already awakened? Night Sorrow was stunned. Chapter 23:12. According to your deduction, she has already awakened for some time, but no one knows about it. Haha. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly, because this meant that Zhu Jiuyun had already made her choice. Don't think too much. The devil ancestor's original body is very powerful, and her reincarnation was awakened without being affected. Naturally, the will of the original body is the main body. In fact, the reincarnation is just a doppelganger. It's just that her cultivation is not enough. The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, "We were once friends who went through life and death together, but when we meet again, we have to fight. I really don't want that." Night Sorrow sighed. This is something that can't be helped. It's fate. It's not that you want to give up on your friendship. It's that she gave up on your friendship after awakening. The heavenly concubine saw the reason for Night Sorrow's sadness. We have different standpoints, so there's nothing to talk about. What's Zhu Jiuyun's cultivation? Lin Piaomiao looked at the heavenly concubine and asked. I can't tell. She should have cultivated some secret technique. The devil ancestor's foundation is very deep. I don't know what kind of secret technique she has, but judging from her aura, she should be at the early stage of the emperor tribulation. The heavenly concubine thought for a while and estimated Zhu Jiuyun's strength. The devil ancestor's awakening is inevitable, but it will take some time. This is my chance to improve. Also, the situation of the 100 races in the celestial realm is no longer a secret. Night Sorrow drank a mouthful of wine and said, Yes, she knows the situation of the 100 races in the celestial realm very well. She might not know about you recently, but she also knows about your past. The heavenly concubine nodded. Night Sorrow thought for a while and felt that Zhu Jiuyun should know about his situation before she went to the spatial passage with Jun Xuanji. After seeing the heavenly concubine, she would not move around in the celestial realm for fear of being exposed. She was not clear about his recent battle strength. I have to speed up. Once my body and cultivation reach the 9 Emperor Tribulation level, I will attack and end the war before the devil ancestor awakens. Night Sorrow made a decision. At this time, in front of the devil ancestor's palace in the devil imperial city, Mo Yuqing reported the situation to Mo Zhantian. What did you say? That woman has a pair of golden horns on her head, and her bloodline is suppressing you to the point that you can't even think about fighting? Mo Zhantian looked at Dark Feather with some surprise. Yes, she asked me to send a message back. She said that the devil imperial city is no longer stable, and the body of the devil ancestor must be moved. She said that there is an alternate dimension below the sacrificial tower, and the body of the devil ancestor must be moved into that alternate dimension to await his awakening. This news can only be relayed to the divine ancestor. Dark Feather replied. Mo Zhantian paced back and forth, the expression on his face constantly changing. He then looked at Dark Feather and issued an order, completely following the instructions of this woman. Those with golden horns are the demon emperor. Is she from our demon wing clan? Dark Feather asked. That's right. He might be the reincarnation of Lord Devil Ancestor's soul. Otherwise, he wouldn't know the current situation of Lord Devil Ancestor's true body. Furthermore, with the suppression of the bloodline, it's impossible for the other races to keep the secret and pass on the information. Mo Gentian did not hide anything from Dark Feather. Look at section T of the V/K version. G-Feather understands. That lady, that is Lord Devil Ancestor, said that the Merit Great Emperor of the 100 races of the Celestial Realm has emerged, and the fire of merit of the Great Emperor level is indestructible. The defense of the Devil Imperial City may not necessarily be unbreakable, so there must be a backup plan. Dark Feather explained. Ask Lord Devil Ancestor if there are any other instructions after placing her body in the alternate dimension. Mo Gentian said to Dark Feather. With the connection between Dark Feather's true body and avatar, Zhu Jillian made some arrangements, made some plans for retreat, and made plans for the Devil Imperial City after it was breached. Zhu Jillian had the memories of her true body, and knew some legends about the Merit Great Emperor. She was worried that the Devil Imperial City would not be able to withstand the attack of Night Sorrow, so she arranged for the Demon-Winged clan to hide her body and wait for her to awaken. In addition, except for the main combat personnel, all of them retreated to Heaven Wasteland Domain, and to the subsidiary domains of Heaven Wasteland Domain. Zhu Jillian also instructed Mo Gentian to forge a halberd. The great desolate halberd used by Zhu Jillian had been refined by Night Sorrow into the Samsara halberd. She no longer had a suitable weapon. If she met Night Sorrow again, it would be a life and death battle, and there would be no possibility of taking back her weapon. Originally, Zhu Jillian should have said that Demon Nine Clouds left the ancient world through the space passage and planned to return to the Nine Domains world to hide, but she felt that this would not work. She was worried that the heavenly concubine would leak the news, and then she would be isolated from the Nine Domains world and would have no contact with her true body. The awakening of her true body was more troublesome. In terms of battle prowess, Mo Jillian felt that Yi Shang was invincible in the Nine Domain world as long as his true body did not awaken. She was no match for him either, so she could not take the risk. After making the arrangements, Demon Nine Clouds planned to cultivate in seclusion. Over the years, she had paid attention to collecting resources. She had obtained a lot from Jun Xuanji and the God-slaying team, and it was enough for her to use for now. Reporting to my lord, Divine Ancestor Gentian has already followed your instructions. Do you have any other orders? Mo Yuqing bowed to Demon Nine Clouds and said. Set up the teleportation formation. We are ready to return at any time. Also, the Heaven Wasteland army is on a rampage. Think of a way to control a Heaven Wasteland soldier and see if you can mix in with the Heaven Wasteland army. This way, we can have an extra route without activating the teleportation formation, Demon Nine Clouds ordered. After sending away the demon-winged race, Demon Nine Clouds looked at the sky with his hands behind his back. Send someone to find me. Night Sorrow, it seems that you already know that some things are destined. There will be a battle to the death between us. If you die in battle, I will erect a monument for you. Demon Nine Clouds was different from Jun Xuanji. When she awakened, she was not disturbed and her soul was not sealed. Therefore, after awakening, her true body and awakened body were united. She was different from Jun Xuanji, who had awakened body's thoughts. Jun Xuanji, Mo Tianji. Demon Nine Clouds shook her head. Her will was as strong as steel. She did not say anything about the heavenly concubine's choice, nor did she contact them. She was even avoiding them. Everyone had their own ambitions. Demon Nine Clouds knew this very well. Night Sorrow knew about Demon Nine Clouds. He was under a lot of pressure and was naturally motivated. Night Sorrow knew that he was now strong enough to deal with the Black Armor King and the others. At most, it would take some effort. The Black Armor King and the others could not overthrow the rule of the Celestial Realm. However, the Demon Ancestor was different. When the Demon Ancestor awakened, he would be a half-step Divine Emperor. He had the strength to wipe out the experts of the Celestial Realm. Not to mention other things, just one person's continuous assassination would exhaust the strength of the 100 races of the Celestial Realm. Then, the Celestial Realm would change and become the Demon-Winged race's sky. While Night Sorrow was thinking, the Qing Emperor came and told Night Sorrow that Tran Hung had arrived at Xingyue City. Night Sorrow asked the Qing Emperor to invite Tran Hung to Jiuyu City. He invited Tran Hung into the city lord's mansion. The city lord must be here for Zhu Jiuyun, right? Night Sorrow asked after sitting down. Chapter 23:13. It's very serious. Night Sorrow didn't hide anything from Tran Hung. He told her everything he knew and predicted. The situation is indeed very complicated. The Demon Wing clan is too powerful. 2 of them have successfully reincarnated. The 100 clans of the Celestial Realm can't do that. Tran Hung shook her head. Not really. The original owner of the Wasteland Tower, Shura Empress Yi Tianxin, hasn't completely died. I don't know what's going on. If she's successfully reincarnated, she should have returned. It's the end of the world, a great era, Night Sorrow said. We can't count on that. After all, it's too illusory. Let's follow your plan. Before the demon ancestor awakens, we should destroy the demon imperial city and their foundation. Then, we can talk about other things. Even if we lose temporarily, the 100 clans can rise in the future and defeat the Demon Wing clan without the unbreakable fortress, Tran Hung said. I understand. Zhu Jiuyun is now in the elementary emperor tribulation. She still needs time. I'll definitely be faster than her. Also, it's impossible to kill her before she awakens. Zhu Jiuyun used to be the leader of the Nether Realm around the 9 regions world. She has a strong sense of strategy. She'll have prepared some backup plans. After all, the Demon Wing clan has spies in the Celestial Realm. They're well informed. I think they've already made some backup plans, Night Sorrow said. You mean, we can't avoid a direct battle with the awakened demon ancestor? Tran Hung looked at Night Sorrow seriously. This was a great crisis. No one knew how powerful a half-step divine emperor was. In the last reincarnation, when the demon ancestor fought, she was in a state of tribulation. She didn't have any battle power after she died. We can't avoid it. We have to fight to the death. Only then will we be able to determine who the ruler of the Celestial Realm will be, Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that Zhu Jiuyun was a talented person. He used to be a strategic commander, but he was blocked by him and Jun Xuanji. The real danger is that after she revives, her realm will be high, and her lifespan will be calculated according to her reincarnation. She, who has seen the power of the deity destroying tribulation, may be able to survive it. Tran Hung reached out and slammed the table. He was a little annoyed. The situation that was originally very promising had changed again. I'll try my best. Even if she's a half-step divine emperor, I'm not afraid. Night Sorrow's robe shook. He had confidence in himself and he had the courage to fight. You are the most talented person in the history of the 100 clans of the Celestial Realm. Be it in terms of attributes, body, or achievements, you have far surpassed other practitioners. Soul, you must pay attention to the cultivation of your soul. When you go through the deity-destroying tribulation, your body and soul must not have any shortcomings or flaws, Tran Hung reminded Night Sorrow. Lord Tran Hung, I've obtained some soul-nurturing grass. Please take a look. Night Sorrow smiled and brought Tran Hung to the soul-nurturing palace in the heaven-sealing palace hall. This is a treasure that aids the cultivation of the soul. Tran Hung was very surprised when he saw the green soul-nurturing grass. Yes, my soul is at the 8th Emperor Tribulation, but the quantity and quality are not at the same level. Therefore, my soul is not a weakness. Lord Tran Hung, please take some back and give some to my martial uncle, Night Sorrow said to Tran Hung. He had thought about this before, but he didn't have the time to arrange it. Okay. Your original body is cultivating here. It is indeed blessed by the heavens. The devil ancestor has hopes of going through the deity-destroying tribulation. Your talent is much higher than hers. You can also go through the deity-destroying tribulation, Tran Hung said to Night Sorrow's original body, who was sitting in the middle of the soul-nurturing palace. I am also confident, Night Sorrow also smiled. Be careful in the future. If we are confident, we will fight them. If we are not, we will hibernate and cultivate. In a battle of the peak, we cannot fight when others are ready. We also have to increase our strength to the point where we cannot increase it. If we fail in that situation, we will not regret it. Tran Hung nodded to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and then collected some soul-nurturing grass for Tran Hung. I will go and refine it into an elixir to strengthen my soul. Tran Hung did not stand on ceremony and took the soul-nurturing grass. Night Sorrow collected some more. Lord Tran Hung, please bring these to my martial uncle. If you and martial uncle don't have enough, you can come and get more. Okay, with you, we will not stand on ceremony. Although our chances of going through the deity-destroying tribulation are not high, we still have to give it a try. At the very least, we can increase our battle strength. Not to mention the devil ancestor, it will be easy to take care of Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian, Tran Hung said. Night Sorrow nodded. He had chatted with Elder Duan before and knew that Tran Hung and King Miao Wu were the most outstanding cultivators in the recent reincarnations. They still had a chance to go through the deity-destroying tribulation. After sending Tran Hung to the teleportation array, Night Sorrow returned to the city in the sky. The 9-domain doppelganger could not leave the 9-domain world. This was also destined. When he reached the city in the sky, Night Sorrow asked Lin Piaomiao to call Jun Xuanji back. Jun Xuanji, who had been informed by Lin Piaomiao's doppelganger, also went to the city in the sky. First release, Night Sorrow, I know about Jiuyun's matter. I am responsible for it, so I did not think in that direction, Jun Xuanji apologized. Let's not talk about this. I called you back to confirm something. Was it Jiuyun's original body or doppelganger that was with you all these years? Or was it both her original body and doppelganger with you? Night Sorrow asked. He wanted to confirm whether Zhu Jiuyun's doppelganger was in the 9-domain world. If it was, it would be a crisis. When I went to the ancient domain world with her, it was my doppelganger that went with me. My original body and I stayed in the divine capital. After that, we disappeared, Jun Xuanji said. In recent years, Jiuyun has not entered the 9-domain world. This means that her original body and doppelganger are in the celestial realm. Our 9-domain world is stable. After confirming, Night Sorrow felt more at ease. He had to ensure the safety of his family and the people around him. How can this be? Why can't Jiuyun let go of the past? Jun Xuanji's face was filled with pain because the feelings between them were very deep. People who walk different paths cannot make plans together. This is something that cannot be helped. I, Night Sorrow, will fight to the death to protect the 9-domain world and the celestial realm. She knows this. Since she has chosen to be an enemy, I have no other choice. Please forgive me, Night Sorrow looked at Jun Xuanji and said. I understand and I support your decision. No matter what your feelings are, a position is a position, Jun Xuanji nodded. If you feel that it is difficult, then come back. Don't participate in this war, Night Sorrow said to Jun Xuanji. No, you said it yourself. Feelings are feelings, but standpoints are standpoints. If I see her again, I'll just ask her one question. Is our feelings really beneath her? Is there a need for her to run away? Jun Xuanji exhaled. Chapter 23:14. According to your deduction, she has already awakened for some time, but no one knows about it. Haha. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly, because this meant that Zhu Jiuyun had already made her choice. Don't think too much. The devil ancestor's original body is very powerful, and her reincarnation was awakened without being affected. Naturally, the will of the original body is the main body. In fact, the reincarnation is just a doppelganger. It's just that her cultivation is not enough. The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, We were once friends who went through life and death together, but when we meet again, we have to fight. I really don't want that. Night Sorrow sighed. This is something that can't be helped. It's fate. It's not that you want to give up on your friendship. It's that she gave up on your friendship after awakening. The heavenly concubine saw the reason for Night Sorrow's sadness. Our standpoints are different, so there's nothing to talk about. What's Zhu Jiuyun's cultivation? Lin Piaomiao looked at the heavenly concubine and asked. I can't tell. She should be cultivating some secret technique. The devil ancestor's foundation is very deep. I don't know what kind of secret technique she has, but judging from her aura, she should be at the early stage of the emperor tribulation. The heavenly concubine thought for a while and estimated Zhu Jiuyun's strength. The devil ancestor's awakening is inevitable, but it will take some time. This is my chance to improve. Also, the situation of the 100 races in the celestial realm is no longer a secret. Night Sorrow drank a mouthful of wine and said. Yes, she knows the situation of the 100 races in the celestial realm very well. She might not know about you recently, but she also knows about your past. The heavenly concubine nodded. Night Sorrow thought for a while and felt that Zhu Jiuyun should know about his situation before she went to the spatial passage with Jun Xuanji. After seeing the heavenly concubine, she should not be moving around in the celestial realm for fear of being exposed. She should not be clear about his recent battle strength. I must speed up. When my body and cultivation reach the 9 Emperor Tribulation level, I will attack and end the war before the devil ancestor awakens. Night Sorrow made a decision. At this time, in front of the devil ancestor's palace in the devil imperial city, Mo Yuqing reported the situation to Mo Zhantian. What did you say? That woman has a pair of golden horns on her head, and her bloodline is suppressing you to the point that you can't even think about fighting? Mo Zhantian looked at Dark Feather with some surprise. Yes, she asked me to send a message back. She said that the devil imperial city is no longer stable, and the body of the devil ancestor must be moved. She said that there is an alternate dimension below the sacrificial tower, and the body of the devil ancestor must be moved into that alternate dimension to await his awakening. This news can only be relayed to the divine ancestor. Dark Feather replied. Mo Zhantian paced back and forth, the expression on his face constantly changing. He then looked at Dark Feather and issued an order, completely following the instructions of this woman. #first DT, those with golden horns are the Demon Emperor. Is she from our Demon Wing clan? Dark Feather asked. Yes, she may be the reincarnation of the soul of the devil ancestor. Otherwise, she would not know the current situation of the devil ancestor. In addition, with bloodline suppression, it is impossible for other races to keep a secret and pass on the information. Mo Zhantian did not hide anything from Dark Feather. Feather understands. That lady, that is the devil ancestor, said that the merit great emperor of the 100 races of the celestial realm has emerged, and the fire of merit of the great emperor level is indestructible. The defense of the devil imperial city may not necessarily be unbreakable, so there must be a backup plan. Dark Feather explained. Ask the devil ancestor if there are any other instructions after placing her body in the alternate dimension. Mo Zhantian said to Dark Feather. With the connection between Dark Feather's original body and avatar, Zhu Jiuyun made some arrangements, made some plans for retreat, and made plans for the devil imperial city after it was breached. Zhu Jiuyun had the memories of her original body, and knew some legends about the merit great emperor. She was worried that the devil imperial city would not be able to withstand the attack of Night Sorrow, so she arranged for the demon-winged clan to hide her body and wait for her to awaken. In addition, except for the main combat personnel, all of them retreated to the Heaven Wasteland domain, and to the subsidiary domains of the Heaven Wasteland domain. Zhu Jiuyun also instructed Mo Zhantian to forge a halberd. The great desolate halberd used by her original body had been refined by Night Sorrow into the Samsara halberd. She no longer had a suitable weapon. If she met Night Sorrow again, it would be a fight to the death, and there would be no possibility of taking back her weapon. Originally, Zhu Jiuyun should have said that Demon Nine Clouds left the ancient world through the space passage and planned to return to the Nine Domains world to hide, but she felt that this would not work. She was worried that the heavenly concubine would leak the news, and then she would be isolated from the 9 domains world and would not be able to contact her original body. It would be more troublesome for her original body to awaken. In terms of combat strength, Demon Nine Clouds felt that if her original body did not awaken, Night Sorrow would be invincible in the 9 domains world, and she would not be able to do it either. Therefore, she could not take the risk. After the arrangements were made, Demon Nine Clouds planned to cultivate in seclusion. Over the years, she had paid attention to collecting resources. She had obtained a lot from Jun Xuanji and the God-slaying team, and it was enough for her to use for now. Reporting to my lord, Divine Ancestor Zhantian has already followed your instructions. Do you have any other orders? Mo Yuqing bowed to Demon Nine Clouds and said. Set up the teleportation formation. We will return at any time. Also, the Heaven Wasteland Army is on a rampage. Think of a way to control a Heaven Wasteland soldier and see if you can mix in with the Heaven Wasteland Army. This way, we will have an extra route without activating the teleportation formation, Demon Nine Clouds ordered. After sending away the demon winged race, Demon Nine Clouds looked at the horizon with his hands behind his back. Send someone to find me. Night Sorrow, it seems that you already know that some things are predestined. You and I are destined to fight to the death. If you die in battle, I will erect a tombstone for you. Demon Nine Clouds was different from Jun Xuanji. When she awakened, she was not disturbed, and her soul was not sealed. Therefore, after awakening, her original body and awakened body's will and thoughts were united. She was different from Jun Xuanji, who had awakened body's thoughts. Jun Xuanji, Mo Tianji. Demon Nine Clouds shook her head. Her will was as strong as iron. She did not say anything about the heavenly concubine's choice, nor did she contact them. She was even avoiding them. Everyone had their own ambitions. Demon Nine Clouds knew this very well. Night Sorrow knew about Demon Nine Clouds' matter. He felt great pressure and motivation. Night Sorrow knew that he was now strong enough to deal with the Black Armor King and the others. At most, it would take some effort. The Black Armor King and the others could not overthrow the Celestial Realm's rule over the Celestial Realm. However, the Demon Ancestor was different. When the Demon Ancestor awakened, he would be a half-step Divine Emperor. He had the strength to wipe out the experts of the Celestial Realm. Not to mention other things, just one person's continuous assassination would exhaust the strength of the Celestial Realm's races. Then, the Celestial Realm would change. It would become the Demon Winged Race's sky. While Night Sorrow was thinking, the Qing Emperor came and told Night Sorrow that Tran Heng had arrived at Xingyue City. Night Sorrow asked the Qing Emperor to invite Tran Heng to Jiuyu City. He invited Tran Heng into the City Lord's mansion. City Lord, you must be here for Zhu Jiuyun, right? Night Sorrow asked after sitting down. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.